Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone Talks. We are here to review the Space Babies, and the Devil's Chord. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very lively stream because we have tons of guests on with us joining the regulars, and they'll all be popping in just a few. I told them to come at 7, so I'd come on, no technical issues. So I hope you can all hear me well. My little slide plan was just to use the earphones and then plug the camera in and see if we get a bit of stability that way. So hopefully we do. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, you guys in the chat are more than welcome to leave your opinions as well, but just keep it nice, okay? I know there might be some anger out there with some fans, but it's going to be an interesting one because, you know, I've had time to think about these 2 episodes, and I mean, as I said, right, that night, I thought it was just reactionary, but I said that night, give me a Jodie Whittaker episode over any of these 2. And I just want to say, people have to realise now he has written 5 episodes for Doctor Who, and they've all been bang average, or even worse in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But he's had episodes now, right? And we're only 2 episodes into the new era. And next week's episode, which we will briefly come on to, but the Stephen Moffat episode by a reviewer, they said it's a dud. So even Stephen Moffat apparently hasn't delivered. So that'll be the 3rd episode into the 4th season. There's no way people can tell me that this is a success, but if you can change my mind, go ahead. But the panel is here today. And Moffat's just in there. Yeah, that's bull. Moffat, look, listen, everybody should know in the fandom now that Stephen Moffat and RTD lie all the time. Right? Stephen Moffat said he wasn't writing an episode for Doctor Who. He's writing 2. He's doing the Christmas special as well. So don't buy into any of that rubbish. But anyway, I have sent the link to, so Lee, if you're listening, the link is actually in on Instagram, but if you need me to send you an email, come into the chat. Matt Pop is supposed to be joining us as well. I've sent him the link on Twitter, so we'll see if those 2 pop in. But let's bring on our regular panelists, and as I said, we have a new guy. We obviously have someone new joining us, and the rest are all obviously guests. But let's bring on our regular panelists. So first of all, we start off with the one and only Queen, Charlotte. There we go. Hopefully it'll come up.
Hello, everybody.
I'm hearing up straight away. That'll be good.
Hello.
And there we go. And I'm sorry about Jinx Monsoon's face down on the right there, but I couldn't help myself. I had to. Anyway,
for you, that's quite a tame background. I will admit that.
Yes, actually, the original one probably would have got me into trouble. So
yeah, I was like, Noel's pulled him back here.
So I'll be diplomatic. So I'll put the diplomatic thumbnail up. Anyway, she's see, this show has made me stupid. Anyway, she's joined by our other regular panelist, which is the one and only PD Rich.
What the hell happened?
There we go. There he is. Oh, Doctor Who. Okay. I like that. Well, it's nice that you come in with a bit of a bang.
I've got other words. No, I know what's happening behind the scenes now. So it's been revealed. So I just can't. I'm just lost for words. So it'll be useless to you tonight.
Bang a shy. Anyway, let's bring on our new panelist, who's going to be joining us every Wednesday. Anyway, but it's his first proper stream with us. It's the one and only Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Hello,
Hello,
I've come
Cinnamon.
dressed for the occasion.
You're in Shooty's outfit.
I'm primed. I am ready to go. I'm ready to convince you all how amazing the Space Babies was.
Wow. I disagree, but anyway, right. So how we'll do this year, because obviously, you know, last year we tried so it'd be less chaotic and everybody gets a turn. Now, obviously, there's more guests to come up, so we'll just add them as they come. I've sent the email, I've sent the links out, so hopefully to get them. If not, they can come into the chat and I'll send it again by email. But how we'll do it is we'll highlight the goods and we'll start with the Space Babies, and then we'll highlight what we didn't like about the Space Babies, and then we'll move on to the Devil's Card. So what I'll do is, right, is I want to try keep these streams, because last year we were doing 3.5, 4 hour streams.
Yeah.
There's no need, right? So I think it'll be fair to give each episode around 45 minutes of attention, right? So that way, then, you know, 45 minutes Space Babies, 45 minutes for the Devil's Card, and we try to get as many points across as we can. But I'm not going to start off this week because I just can't be. I'm still
Shocked?
I'm in shock mode now.
Don't blame you. Don't blame you.
Because if I thought this 60th anniversary was average, I wasn't expecting this to be this bad, but it literally was to me. But I'll say no more. Right. So we'll start off with, I suppose, our new panelist, because I know he will have some good things to say because he's been optimistic all the way through. So we'll start off with the Space Babies. So Cinnamon, go ahead. What do you think of the Space Babies?
Well, I have a little confession to make, I will be honest. When I said I'm going to convince you all, I don't seriously think I'm going to be capable of that. But what I will say is that if I'm watching this first one, I generally was able to enjoy it. And there was a lot of worry going into it. And I think, thankfully, I was able to come out satisfied. I want it on record that just because I think Shooty is the Doctor for me, just because I like the episode, that doesn't mean that everything I said regards to all the noise surrounding the show isn't. I don't know. It doesn't mean I don't no longer believe in that. I still think like Dan said it last night. I think Shooty's head is full of cotton wool. I think a lot of what he says is frankly ridiculous. But judging purely on his work and his acting ability, he's more than convinced me. He convinced me at Christmas, but he's more than solidified it anyway. I understand a lot of people are saying there's no story to this one, and that is true. This is no Stephen King novel by any stretch. This isn't the most deepest or richest story you'll ever watch, if any, really. But I feel like, and again, a lot of people were in it's a bit of a strange episode for a series opener, isn't it? I guess I give a take. I suppose. I mean, I'd rather get the lighter ones out of the way. And it's not like we've got no serious episodes. I know we all said, and I think Charlotte said, to her credit, we need to see Shooty give a sort of deeper, more emotional. Not obviously, I don't mean crying in the corner, but we need to see him go through, a difficulty. We need to see him go through angst. We need to see him go through hardship, not just rocking about like everything's a joke, which is fine. I like that too. I like the charisma. But again, there's a time and a place. There's a time where we need to see the other side of the Doctor. Again, like Charlotte pointed out, we had the Beast Below, Matt's second episode, and we saw how fiery he could be there, and how he spoke to Amy. And he said, "Oh, you don't decide for me," or whatever, or what have you.
No human has any right to talk to me.
Yeah, no human has any right to say to me. Yeah, exactly. I'm butchering the quote. But the third one, next week, a couple of days away. Boom, looks interesting to me because the idea that it's set around in one location, the Doctor is stood on a landmine. for the duration of the entire episode, it would seem. That to me sounds like an amazing premise. I'm not sure about you. I'm sure you will get into that, but that to me sounds fantastic. Shooty's himself, I mean, again, take what these people say with a pinch of salt, I know, but Shooty himself has described this one as a bit of a pressure cooker, ready to snap at any minute. So that to me sounds good. That's what I want. We've had a bit of a silly episode. We've got it out of the system. I know it's nappies and babies and snot. I get it. I really do. We've had the fun. We've had the charm. That's out the way now. Well, apart from the second episode, but we'll get into that as well. But the third episode looks to be the bigger, the more tense, and then whatever follows that. Of course, we'll get to that in the weeks to come. But yeah, I again, like Dan, I was able to enjoy it. I didn't expect that I would, but I did. Definitely preferred this one more than the Devil's Chord. I will say that. Yeah, I think it's silly because I think it's okay to have a lower stakes episode. I get that's not everyone's cup of tea, but to break the ice, to a new companion, I suppose. I get and the things about the Doctor or Russell copying pretty much what he's done before, copying and pasting. Again, Simon spoke about this last night as well. There's a difference between borrowing and just downright nicking other people's work or just ripping off what you've done before. I mean, so much to the fact that a YouTube account even made a parody of it. But yeah, there's more I could say, but I don't want to eat up too much time, of course. But I'm sure there'll be more I can find. But yeah, I was able to enjoy it. I thought that bloody Captain Poppy was adorable. I thought it was just an interesting idea. Again, I know people are going to scoff at this and think, how it's babies, it's ridiculous. I know, but it's silly season. But they've got it out the way. They've got it out the system. I hope. God forbid. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm looking forward to Boom. I mean, I hope that if they like this too, first one especially. But if I thought these were tolerable, surely I think I'll enjoy Boom. And I understand there was one review saying it's a bit of a dud, but I also saw another review that's praised it quite highly. So that's the thing. The reviews, one thing says one thing, and another one says another thing. So I'm not quite sure on that one just yet. But yeah, surprising. Again, I thought I was good. Again, and message. As well, a big thing. I really didn't think these would work at all. I'm sorry, but I didn't. The messaging was barely there. If I hadn't if I hadn't read that article beforehand, saying that there was going to be some sort of abortion allegory in the episode, I probably could have watched it and not have got that. I feel like that reading that article made it worse for me because I was dreading that going in. And again, I think Charlotte mentioned last night, it wasn't even then, the messaging wasn't even about Republicans this. It was more about sort of like the championing of life and stuff like that, etc. But yeah, like I say, I won't eat up too much time. I thought I was able to enjoy it for what it was. Do I think it's the best Doctor we've ever gotten? Do I think it's the best series opener, like some people are saying? Far from it. It does not top the 11th hour by any stretch. I mean, you've got to be some brave person to even say that, but fair enough. But yeah, and there are some things I didn't like about it. There are some points, but yeah, I was able to enjoy the first one.
Right, Charlotte, over to you.
Right, Space Babies was a proper mixed bag for me. I liked the beginning bit because it was Ruby sort of finding her feet with time travel and sort of him showing her he could go back and forward. And that scene with the dinosaurs, when it was just her just stepping out, I love that because I think the production really sold that. And I think Ruby and Millie's acting, the sort of, because I've had this thing in New Who, the last couple of companions, everything felt too easy and it just brushed off them. Like, I'm back in I've gone back in time, it's nothing sort of attitude. I like that Ruby was shocked, that she was sort of amazed, that she really had that air of, wow, he's just done this sort of vibe. But then I do have an issue with the whole butterfly scene, but I'll get to that when I get to more my stuff that was mixed sort of side to it. I'm one of these who actually is starting to like Shooty as well. I'm starting to sort of, I think, get a bit of a vibe of what his doctor is. It's still early days yet. And I think what they're trying to do with Shooty is to have sort of that clashing personality at times of being very free, having a lot of the baggage of New Who and even classic sort of be lifted, and he just wants to enjoy life again. He just wants to get out there and see life and planets and not get bogged down by saving the world. He just wants to explore, and I love that. I think that's a really good take going forward for the Doctor. But then I'm starting to see in both these episodes, for all the free, the freeness and the openness of Shooty, I think there's a real prickliness to his Doctor at certain points. When he was told, Ruby, quite early on, I can't take you back. That's a rule. And he was very harsh with her. It was good to see his Doctor actually put his foot down that early on and say, no, this is a line I can't cross with you. And then when some of the stuff in Devil's Chord, when he was getting angry, I was like, yeah, I need some more. I need to see more. I definitely need to see more of that. But I think what they're trying to do with Shooty is he's sort of those opposing forces in one Doctor, and you can get either side. And it's and I don't know if they're going to almost have him not be able to manage both sides in some points. That's just me sort of really fan sort of theorying there. I thought in Space Babies, the nurse character was actually quite well done, at both writing-wise and acting-wise. You bought that she cared about those babies, that she was the one that stayed, that she didn't, like when she did the lines to do with, oh, I don't want them to see me die. When he said, oh, why haven't you shown yourself? And for me, that was quite a good scene. It rang true. I bought that emotion from like I said, both the writing and both the writing and acting, I think, conveyed that quite well. And I think the more we're starting to see sort of this dynamic of the companion and Doctor, Ruby and 15, they're a bit like, to me, they remind me of bickering siblings. That sort of, they'll be really close, they'll be really good mates, but then they'll have a row with each other. She'll call him out and he'll call her out. Like, it's that nice, like I said, siblings almost I'm getting at the moment. So that's what was, and I thought the first half with the monster was actually quite good at conveying sort of dread and sort of a threat of this creature. So that's my good stuff. This, like I said, mixed bag. But for all the good writing I saw, for me, there was some really subpar writing to go by it. And that's whether Russell was being really repetitive with certain things he was putting in there. He kept using, like, you told me you were adopted in the Christmas special, 50 Shooty's Doctor. I don't need to hear that another 10 times in the episode. I get that you clearly, Russell, want to do something with this timeless child stuff. You clearly want to do it from a character viewpoint, but you're being too in your face about it now. I think there was repetitiveness in other ways in the episode. Certain words and certain things just kept getting said again and again and again. And for me, that shows Russell's dumbing down the writing in some aspects. He's talking down to the audience if he's having to repeat stuff so much. And then once the actual reveal of what the creature was, I just groaned. I was like, this was an effective creature to me before I knew what it was.
Yeah.
It actually, so all the threat of it disappeared. All the scary factor disappeared in an instant as soon as it got revealed. And it's like, could you not have thought of a better idea as how this creature came to be? And then in the same episode, you're trying to convince me it's got the same value as the babies. It's just as precious, it's just as needs to be protected as all the babies on. And no, Russell, you can't convince me of being made of snot is at the same level as these babies, which is what the whole finale, like the ending bit of the episode, was building to. I get why the Doctor would do what he did, because the Doctor protects life. And also the whole last of its kind has always been a thing that's rung with the Doctor. It's always been a sort of a sticking point with him. But like I said, the more general argument around it was just farcical. It was ridiculous. And I think the tone then, as soon as that got revealed, the tone shifted. And there was to be fair, there was stuff before that with the tone that it feels childish. Like that episode in chunks, writing wise, felt childish. And I'm sorry, Doctor Who can be silly, but I would say it's never childish. And for me, that's what the writing did in Space Babies. And then also it was just once you thought of how they resolved the issue, it was so simple and it wasn't complex in the slightest. And like they said, how did they solve it? Basically that the nurse character had a moment of consciousness and didn't do it. And then instead of taking them back in the TARDIS, which has already been established in the episode he could do, no, let's use methane to power the ship. It's like that's literally the ending point of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, this is not, like I said, it doesn't, and I think what it is, there's such a fine balance. Moffat at times was too complex. He was here's my plot with 10 billion things going on. You need to know 5 episodes story to remember for this plot to work. Like, he was too that way. And I feel like Russell went to the other way with Space Babies. That it was so simple and it was so safe. And that's what I feel like Space Babies. It was a toothless episode. There was no threat once it got revealed, like I said.
Right,
and it just, that's my mixed bag then for Space Babies.
Right, well, I'm going to make it short and sweet. So, yeah, I did like the mood and the tension. There are signs there that he can be a good Doctor, but I think he's going to be hampered, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. Also, I suppose the only thing that made me laugh in the whole episode, if anybody was watching the watch along, and it's my favourite scene in it, and it's the only thing that I actually liked in it, is when Shooty's Doctor was actually scared of the babies. I actually loved that scene. I loved the fact that he was taking the piss and he was scared of the babies.
That's what I mean. He's got a bit of that energy about him.
Yeah, and the only reason why I like that is because I knew this was going to be a pile of shit. It was, seriously, I mean, the first 6 minutes of the episode, I was actually very hopeful. I was sitting here, I said, 6 minutes, this is actually not bad. I was sitting here loving it. And then as soon as the baby comes in and starts talking, right, for me, that's when the whole mood of the episode shifted. But we'll get into that. But the only two things I could say is that I did like some of the tension. I did like the chemistry between the two of them. And that's it, really. And that's it. But that was it. I was actually really disappointed about this episode. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I liked it. So, you know me, I'm out straight. I didn't like it. I won't be convinced to like it. And I know Cinnamon's just ribbon. Cinnamon would never try change people's mind, but he'll give his opinion. But my opinion will never change on this. This was just like the ending, a pile of shit. Simple as that. I've been struggling. I wanted to do my own separate review, as you know. I've been struggling because I don't know what to really say. I'm still in shock about what I watched. And I'll get into it later when we do the negative stuff, because I don't want to harp too much on it. But this I'll watch Orphan 55 over Space Babies.
Wow.
Amen to that.
That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
I'll get into the bad in a few minutes, but that's my only good. I love that scene with Shooty scaring the babies. And the only reason why I did is because, you know what? He's just brought the show that I can't know.
I need to throw up and start to become positive things.
Right, we'll let PD say if he wants to say something, and then we will move on to the negative. And I'm going to tell this a new arsehole. Anyway, PD, go on.
I like the dinosaurs and a little bit of the butterfly, but I didn't like pushing.
Oh, yeah, the dinosaurs was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that bit. And
yeah, we got about, what, a minute and a half of them, not even that?
Yeah. That was a nice bit. It was a nice bit showing what the Tardis can do. Yeah, that was probably about it. Sorry.
I mean, the dinosaurs, look, I said it that night as well. One thing I will actually compliment.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it does look like it has a bigger budget, right? But for Doctor Who fans, and I want to make this clear, that's the last thing that we think of when we watch Doctor Who. For us, it's the writing is everything. Character development is everything. And if they fall short, you're screwed. Anyway, he is here. He's a bit late, but he has arrived. And he's right on time, because I wouldn't say he'd have anything positive to say anything. But he's here anyway.
Yeah.
So one and only. Problem being, we'll see if he does have something positive before we get on to the negative anyway.
Hello.
There he is.
Hello.
Hello. I was cooking and I lost track of time. Oh, fuck.
Of course you did. Of course you did. What did you have? What did you have?
Well, I was in the middle of doing a chicken bake, so I've just been frying the chicken and doing
Nice.
bechamel sauce and all that.
Right.
But,
Yeah, before now, what we're doing is we spoke about the Space Babies, the good. So, is there anything good you would like to say about the Space Babies before we get on to the negatives of the Space Babies? Space Babies, sorry,
No.
not the Space Babies. So you've nothing right. See, I told you. See, I know him too well, Charlotte. See, I knew he'd have nothing positive to say. Anyway,
well,
let's get into
there's the reason. Oh, that's it. I come here, shut your mouth. All right, off you go. Go on.
Oh, and who's popped in? It's probably Matt as well. They're all arriving in. Hold on. There we go. He's here and all, and it's. I think it's 4 a.m. over there.
I was going to
So
say
we
it'd
have
be
to-
ridiculously early for Matt. Right.
So we have to give our hats off to Matt because you know when he asked someone and I said, yeah, I'll have you on. I didn't think he'd actually come on when he told me the time, but he's here. Look, Jesus, good man yourself.
Yeah,
See, that's
hey.
dedication. That's what we like to see.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, sorry, technical difficulties.
It's all good. It is all good. Well, I'll ask you, Matt. Is there anything we're discussing the Space Babies at the moment? But how we're doing it is we're going to talk about the good first, and then we're going to get into the negative side of it. Is there anything good you got to say about Space Babies?
I thought the production values was pretty good. It seemed quite insular in it. It seemed like an actual like a space monster in space, you know, that sort of thing. You know, pretty very much like Alien, you know, and I just felt that it was. It looked really good. It looked good. It looked scary. The monster was scary. As far as I was concerned, I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, no, the story was shit. The story was terrible.
We'll get into that. Just hold that.
Yeah,
we're
all the
all
good
so. You know what we're doing? We're trying so hard because it is actually hard, isn't it? Not to first of all, just think of all the negatives because that's what's running through your head. So let's get into the negatives, and we'll start with you, Matt, actually, because the fact that you've actually stayed up for this, I think it's only fair that you get to go first. So what were the things that you didn't like about Space Babies?
Where do I start?
You can start wherever you want, mate.
Well, I mean, I think the main factor was it's not a very good Doctor Who to start off with completely. Like at the very beginning, you know, you want to get an audience in, don't you? And it was It was boring. I didn't know what was going on half the time. And I just felt that that it wasn't as good as what it could be, you know. And I'm not so worried about the title and everything like that. It was just the fact that some of the effects were awful, like the babies themselves, and that sort of threw you out of the actual story as well, you know. And I don't know. I don't think it was supposed to be taken seriously, but I think in a way it should have been, you know. There was no real threat. Really, was there? There wasn't a real threat. And so, you know, I just felt that maybe that could have been a little bit better in the way that they'd shown how more, you know, how more dangerous the creature was. You know, if it had eaten a baby, it would have even been better.
True.
You know, even if it had been just a baby. No, but I mean, it's just something in one of the bottles or something. You know.
No, you're right. To give it that extra shock value. It was lacking. It was lacking in that, wasn't it? But then when the monster, Charlotte made a great point about the monster. When the monster was finally revealed to what it was, that's when Charlotte kind of lost the threat from the monster. I mean, it wasn't well thought out, was it?
No, I think he was. I think RTD thought he'd be smart by going, oh, you know, you saw it at the beginning where they were blowing their noses, and that's how it was created. It was like, yeah, it just didn't. I honestly, there wasn't anything in there at all that I laughed at, anything that I was scared at. It was just nothing. I just felt nothing while I was watching it. And I was like waiting for the second episode, really, just to think hopefully it was going to get better. You know,
we'll get into the second episode.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I was just bored through the whole episode. And you know, I mean, plus, you know, we had those callbacks, and I understand why he did it. But did he have to do it in such a way that it was just literally a repeat of what he'd already written before?
Yeah.
And that also irked me, because I was like, well, you know, you're a talented writer somewhere. You've done amazing things. You know, you brought back Doctor Who, and now you've given us this.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it felt like more of an episode later on in the series rather than at the beginning of the series. You know, you kind of just want to go, you know, straight into action and all that. But no, he didn't do that for some reason. I can't tell you why, you know.
Lee, we'll let you get in there, and because we know you like to have an old natter, because we're trying to dedicate 45 minutes for each episode. So if you get through 3 more people in 10 minutes, can you do it? Can you get everything out in a few minutes?
I did actually think of one positive, which I did like. One positive. When Ruby was trying to calm the babies down, and then he just scared them again by going, "The boogeyman!"
Yeah.
And then he was just cracking up. I thought that was quite amusing.
That's my favourite scene of that episode. That's my favourite scene of the episode where
the only thing.
The babies. It's brilliant.
I mean, did this story even need to happen? What was stopping? Now, if I missed something, let me know. But the Doctor arrives on this space station. Remember, it's a space station, not a spaceship, right? Space station. So he arrives on there, and there's a whole bunch of babies. And there's like 20 of them, 10, 15, whatever.
Yeah, there's a talking in it. What was stopping
him? He's got a ramp, right? He's got ramps in the TARDIS. What was stopping him rounding up all the babies onto the TARDIS and then taking them to where they needed to go?
Because they explained that the planet didn't want them, because the planet was going through kind of a recession or something, and they
No, but
couldn't
I mean,
afford or something to take the babies. But he could have took them somewhere where they were cared for. I agree with you. That was
that's
stupid.
the politics. That's the politics. But practically, what was stopping him getting those strollers onto the TARDIS and then transporting them anywhere in time and space to where they looked
They
up?
even bring it up. They say about the TARDIS in the episode that he could literally do what you're talking about.
And didn't. So why didn't he? That's the thing that irks me.
Something else that you bring up. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go on, Matt.
But if you're saying that, you know, if they take them home, what's going to happen to the snot monster? Because he's kept it alive, so they're not. No one's going to take it on. You know,
Well,
what are they going to do?
It's not only that; it's the only one there is, and it's going to be alone forever. I mean, that's the life, isn't it?
Yeah, that could do something to some.
Unless
You
they're
know
great,
what I mean?
unless
That would
they're
do something to us all. So, you know,
Does
you end up going crazy.
can it breed? Do we know if it? I mean, it's got a load of sharp teeth. What do you feed it? Because it went from a big scary monster to a puppy at the end because they saved it for some reason. Okay. Yeah, the constant use of the word space babies was just so irritating.
Yeah.
And I'm just sorry that it's not funny. It's not even a dad joke at this point. You know, it's beyond dad joke humor, and it just seems really kind of incongruous being used constantly. I mean, the Doctor's in space a lot, and they're babies in space. Yeah, I get that, but why keep saying space babies? Like, we know,
And they had names. Even I can remember some of the names.
right? And they all looked worried as hell. You know, I just want to point that they look like they want to be anywhere else but on that set.
Yeah.
Right there. That's freaky. No one likes talking babies. That's just not a thing that anyone likes. Never have done. It's always in that uncanny valley. It just doesn't work. And it looked really awkward. Just really awkward. And really, just to keep it brief, really, because there's really not much to say. This is just, I mean, it's so puerile. Snots, farts, poo. Really? I mean, that's where the whole episode is literally shit, isn't it?
Do you know what? Do you know what's disappointing, Lee? It's the fact, right, maybe all my expectations were too high. maybe I should lower my standards, right? Maybe I should.
This is the opening episode.
But that's the thing. I'm not going to do that. So RTD has to give me something to stay in. I get what he wants to keep the kids interested. And someone on the panel said earlier on about the language being dumbed down, right? And then all of this, and we'll get into it with the next episode. I mean, all this fourth wall breaking shit is doing my head in, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Isn't it misogyny to call a girl or a woman babes? That's so annoying. Yeah. Like, please stop doing that.
Love.
Irritating. Yeah, I mean, if it was anyone else saying babes or love, it would be classed as misogyny. But because it's him doing it, it's okay. That's fine, apparently. I don't know what the rules are. It seems a little bit, skewed somehow.
By the way, to launch the space station, right, the nappies were piling up for years or something. So basically, he used the gas from the nappies.
You live in space! You eject it into space. You eject your waste out into space. That's what you do. You don't just... why?
I brought that up. Exactly. I actually brought that up. I said, they literally had a giant space part to send them home, and I said, and no one's talking about it. And you know what? Someone replied, "Well, how else are they supposed to get home?"
Oh God, that's so.
Are you serious?
That's so
I'm like,
they left it in there on purpose, knowing that someone would just materialize on board and then use it to get.
Just magically use it.
What? Okay, so quickly, I just want to point over a couple more things. So, right, the bit where the Doctor finally does something brave rather than running away like a baby, crying. is when he gets into the airlock with the monster, which is like just out of the scene from Alien.
Yeah.
By the way,
Which one? Or Resurrection as well? It reminded me of that as well.
But when he goes into the airlock, right now, this is how it works, right? It's a vacuum, so you get sucked out through the hole. Okay, you don't sucked into the room and then hit the wall.
Hit the door.
There's
No,
nothing
you
in
go
the wall
straight out
stopping you
into
to the
outer
wall.
space.
Yeah, you would go, you bypass the wall straight to the nearest point of exit, which is the hole in the wall, right? Not landing against the wall. There's nothing
Sorry to
suck
interrupt,
you to the
Lee.
wall.
Also, the air would be sucked out in a matter of seconds. So
Yes.
it'll be going.
There's nothing in there. Yeah, exactly. There's no air in there whatsoever, let alone to talk.
Yeah.
He's talking. You can talk. There's no way you would be frozen to death instantly.
Actually, the heat dissipates slowly in space, much slower on Earth. But
right.
yeah, they wouldn't
Well,
be
I
able
thought
to
it
talk
was like
though.
freezing, like below.
His eyes would be glowing red, and the air would be blowing up his body. He'd look like a mess.
Right. So I mean, we know from before during the Enlightenment that the Doctor can last for a few seconds in space or whatever.
Yeah.
That's nonsense, but that's established. Fair enough. And then my final critique, right?
I did like that scene though, that you brought it up just real briefly on something that I did like. I did actually like that scene. He did show bravery there, actually. And I do like that. Oh, as Charlotte said earlier on, when she was giving her report on the episode, the good. I'd like to see a bit more of that from Shooty. The more dramatic stuff. I think I don't mind when he's clowning around. It's actually not bad. You know, I thought it was going to be a lot campier and look, it can get a lot worse.
You'd be brave too if you knew you could break the laws of physics. It's just saying.
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on.
The final piece of the resistance, right? This is one thing that it just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Okay, so remember, this is a space station with no thrusters, right? We've established it's a space station with no thrusters. Am I correct?
Well, it would have RCS thrusters, but they're not very powerful. They're only to keep it in orbit.
Right.
Yeah.
So he sends this space station off careering towards this planet, assuming that it's got the orbit all figured out. I don't know, because it didn't look like it to me. And then like we don't know if there's anyone on the planet or everything's okay. He buggers off. This space station is careering towards this planet.
Yes.
No input calculated for the orbit or anything like that. It's going to go careering towards it. It's going to no thrusters, right? No thrusters to slow it down.
Lee, no pilot. No pilot.
Nothing. It's going to burn up in the bloody atmosphere, killing all on board. Now, I commented on this and I said, now I know there's an abortion thing in a message in this, but Jesus Christ, that's some serious late stage abortion.
Did you think? I'll ask you that question though. Did you think the message was subtly done, or do you think it was in your face?
No, they don't do subtle. It was so obvious. I mean, I could feel my eyes rolling to the back of my head because it's like they tried to do the pro-immigration message, the abortion, pro-choice message. It's like, we get it. I just don't think that that's really necessary for this story.
For Dr. Who.
Yeah, it was so weird. It just felt so out of place and so tacked on. We just got to say these words, and like throughout this entire episode, everything is just an info dump. It's like treating your audience like they're stupid, and it's so practical.
Maybe it was the intention, though.
One thing classic Doctor Who never used to do was talk down to you. It
Amen
never
to
did
that.
that. This is talking down to you. It's patronizing you. It's hitting you over the head with the message and trying. Oh, and the whole thing about him being, I'm beautiful, I'm perfect, whatever. That was cringe as fuck. And then telling these babies that there's nothing wrong, you don't grow up wrong. We'll tell that to Hitler. You know? And it's funny, if you're perfect just the way you are, then why are you so promoting this thing that tells children they're born in the wrong body? Right? That's completely the antithesis of what he's saying to that baby. You're perfect just as you are. Well, clearly not, because they're for a start, they're like 5-year-old or 8-year-old stuck in a baby's body. So obviously there's something fucking wrong. That's just lying. That's just lying to them. And it's just so mixed, right? It's so jumbled up. It makes no sense. There is a complete moral vacuum in there. I mean, it's so round and round and roundabout.
He's contradicting himself. That's what he's doing. He's sending out mixed messages. Like they're all over the place. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He's thrown all these messages in pointlessly, and it doesn't work in the context of the story. It really doesn't seem to have any clear moral compass. It's spinning around and round and round like there's no true north. You know, it's so messed up, and it's so confused, and I don't know what message they're trying to send with this story. And it's not even a serious story in which you can actually take on board any kind of message anyway, because you're too busy rolling your eyes at all the cringe.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that was me.
Queen Charlotte, go ahead before he starts again.
Yeah.
And one more thing. No.
Yeah, Lee, shut up.
That's nice.
Yeah, writing. Where do I start with writing? I'll start at what I sort of alluded to with the butterfly, because I think it's such a good example of what Russell's writing's doing at the moment. So the butterfly effect, it's a known thing. It's been done loads now in sci-fi. It's this idea. It's this idea that you have. Oh no, I'm echoing on you.
Echo.
Right, let's try again. Oh, that sounds better.
Does it echo?
I was echoing on your picture, or like on your thing, but I'm not now. So the butterfly thing. So the butterfly effect, the basic premise is that you do an action and there's lots of little reactions off that action. So it's Doctor Who has dealt with this before. Russell has done this before. The idea of turn left, for example. That whole episode was the idea of what if Donna, in that one instance in the car with her mum, decided to turn left instead of right. She wouldn't have met the Doctor, and it all built up to a whole cacophony of different events.
Sound of thunder. Sorry.
So that's what the butterfly effect is. It's not she stands on a literal butterfly and she turns into an alien for a minute. And then she's okay. Then she's a human because he's made the butterfly come back to life.
Yeah, somehow.
Because
what he's done is he's done this cheap trick again with the regeneration energy, which I'm not loving.
We didn't see any of that.
But it's not the regeneration thing as much. Like I said, it's the writing aspect of
the button.
If I am to understand from what I saw in that scene, it wasn't a trick of the light she turned into that butterfly version, insect version. It wasn't Shooty having a vision or something. She physically, from my understanding of the writing, physically turned into that alien.
Yeah. Which means that he would have known, or he would never have met her in that situation, or if he had, he would have a memory of it. But the other thing as well is like that destroys everything in Doctor Who, because everything he does, whenever he's involved in a story, he becomes part of that timeline. So he becomes, part of the events. So everything like that. I mean, we've seen it in the Face of Evil. He did something and then affected the change in that planet.
Yeah, but this is my point, Lee. For such a tiny thing of stepping on a butterfly, that's a tiny event. That should not cause that much disruption. If you understand the theory Russell is deliberately evoking here.
It's a cheap gag, an expensive.
It's a cheap gag, but it was written as an actual plot point. So you can't excuse it as a cheap gag. It would have been all right for me if it was a cheap gag. But this is what I mean. Russell's style at the moment is really freewheeling when it comes to consequence and what can happen and what can't. And he's doing a rule and then breaking the rule and then going back he's just everywhere with this sort of consequence thing. So the butterfly thing was a perfect example because it wasn't mentioned once that happened, it was not brought up once again in the episode. He even switched a lever, like an anti-butterfly, whatever he called it, in the TARDIS. So what? You had a lever to stop this from happening? So this is a thing that's always been happening? And only now we've seen, you know, this is my point. It doesn't make any logical sense. And Russell's not writing to logic at times here.
There is no, that's a very good point, Charlotte,
Yeah.
because there's no internalized logic. And
No.
it's become so fantastical now. Everything's just pure fantasy. It lacks any internal logical reason to any of it. And
Like
it's
I
very
said,
jarring.
And that whole moment,
Charlotte, sorry to interrupt. Another show it doesn't conform to logic either. What's it called? Let me think. Star Trek Discovery. Yeah.
But it's
I'll get back to that.
Deus Ex Machina of saying that there's a lever on the TARDIS that does that. Never
exactly.
explained.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
No, but like I said, that whole setup, like I said, this idea we've had with Doctor Who before, and it's worked. But Russell's now done this stupid thing in this episode that now every time every time she touches a plant, she should change the time. Every time she disturbs a bit of dirt like that, and that's what I'm seeing.
Every person you talk to,
you
know,
that should be a bigger event. If, like I said, by Russell's own logic and rules, by stepping on a butterfly, that can happen. Then everything she does should have bigger consequences, but it won't, because, like I said, he's not following his own logic. For me, the copying. I mean, Russell, you word for word copied from End of the World with that scene with the phone, and you couldn't think of anything to get that point across. That yes, the world is like something terrible's happened in the future, but current time your mum's okay. That's what that whole scene with Rose was back in 2005, and it worked so much better. So to copy it word for word, to not even try and, like I said, think of an alternative. And it's no, like that to me, that's another one when I was just like, Russell, what are you playing at?
He's adding more fantasy to this to hide his poor writing.
Yeah, like I said, that's my overall, and that's my other thing I sort of talked to a bit before. I feel like in Space Babies, it was too much on the light side of it. But like I said, the monster in the first half was trying to be scary. So you can't try and be scary and then turn around and have the reveal that he did. And like I said, and then by the end, but Shooty did do an heroic thing. But also before that, he was like having a go at the Nan for trying to kill it. And I was like, okay, Doctor, I can sort of get you because you protected life, but still, she's literally told you when you met her, she'd do anything for these kids. She would protect them with her life. So why on earth would you start to shout and scream when she's making it go away? Like she's protecting her kids.
It's a synthetic life as well. It's not,
like Simon and the Daleks.
But like I said, even if you take away that aspect, it's been very clear by the writing. Like I said, I think she was well written, that character. So I was completely understood why she did what she did with the airlock. But then for them to like scream and shout, and then for them to be like all life to her at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the thing that's been scaring to death these kids.
Yeah.
So she's a mum. She's going to protect.
The Doctor's killed so many life forms over generations, regenerations, and want to say. And I'm pretty sure he's killed the last of the... Like, look at what he did with the Empress of the Rachnos.
Yes.
That was the last one of its kind. Didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And like I said, that's my problem at the moment. That opener, mainly, like I said, I've got individual stuff that really irked me with the episode. But the overall issue for me right now is it hasn't got stakes for me. There was that opening. It didn't have a proper feel of... Well, it did. Like I said, I'll happily admit the monster did its job for the first half. But then even that first half I enjoyed now, I can't because I know what it is.
Do you think as well that he used the space babies as a emotional crutch, a way of manipulating the audience into caring about them and using that mistakes?
I think what he was doing, a bit of me, to be fair, I think some of that, and it got brought up in the episode as well. Ruby's sort of got this thing with her being left as a baby, her sort of childhood, the way it went. So I think she's almost got like baggage now when it comes to that. And for her to have these cute babies that she could like ooh and ah over, and for them to be like mummy to her, I think they did a bit of it for her. But yeah, I think like that whole scene when the baby was going to go and face the monster, like that was that. It was the idea.
Sword.
Oh yeah. Also, did anybody else, right? And I know I admit this one is probably me being a bit of like picking stuff up because I didn't like the episode in general. They're stood there watching this baby go trundling along with its little sword, saying I'm going to defeat the monster, and they just stood there. And I was just like,
well, he showed more bravery than the Doctor, I would say.
It's like, is nobody going to move? Is nobody going to try?
Why didn't the captain go and face him? She's got a bloody flamethrower.
The flamethrower. I brought that up during the episode as well. RTD seems to have this fetish with 2 wheels or 4 wheels. Has either a flamethrower or a rocket launcher coming out of it now. Yeah. I mean, what's that all about?
Yeah,
he likes them armed and dangerous.
It's dependent on who it is.
And the voice, the lip syncing. I'm sorry, but with the budget you have, you mean to tell me that you couldn't have done a little bit better with the mouths?
No. I didn't think that was a big issue. I didn't think that was that bad.
Well, I thought when the babies actually showed up, that was the whole big issue. You could have actually left the babies out of this completely and just had the babies in the tube, and you could have been still able to tell the same story. Having the babies in fairness, was a bit.
I don't know if you've.
Well, I'm going to say this. What they could have done is, sorry, Matt. What they could have done is they could have had their voices speaking through a central computer or something.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Or through a voice box on the chair or something. So you wouldn't have them. So it'd be connected to their mind or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be better.
Like I said, I couldn't help but laugh for the wrong reasons that scene when he's trundling along, and I was just like, "Is nobody
I'm going to be brave? I'm going to be brave."
Yeah.
But can I just say though, Lee, that's a very clever idea, but that's too sci-fi for Russell, isn't it? Because
we're not allowed sci-fi.
He's adamant that everything has to be about apparently what was it he said in the article that and it's sci-fi words. It's not like round the breakfast table talk. Well, this isn't, Ken Barlow, cheating on his wife in the latest Coronation episode. This is Doctor Who. Again, this is my point. Even though I like this episode, there's still aspects, a lot of it outside of it that I have a massive problem with.
People
and that would be one of them.
To Doctor
Who. Go on, tell me after Lee shuts up. Tell us what your problems are with Space Babies, and then we'll move on to the one that's, I think, is really going to get the panel debated on. And really feisty on, which is the Devil's Chord, and I'm still in shock. Anyway, go on, Cinnamon.
PD Rich as well.
I'm really, I actually am. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. I'm actually finding it hard to pick things I didn't like. I get it. A lot of the points that have been here are true, and I agree. Like there's certain little, plot holes, inconsistencies, things that aren't realistic. I get that. But, in terms of, does Shooty not being sucked out of space within 3 seconds, does that bother me? Not particularly. Well, yeah, he should. Well, he should die, and not regenerate either, I suppose, in an ideal world, but he does. I don't know. Like, again, is it the best story ever? No, far from it. Again, I saw some people. I mean, I know I liked it, but I mean, some people go a bit too far, I think. I mean, someone really suggested that this was the best series opener, I mean, again, you're really suggesting that this tops the 11th hour. I'm not that extreme. I couldn't go that far, but again, the stuff about the lip syncing, I didn't think that was too terrible. I didn't notice. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just more attuned to it than me, but probably are. My main issues are really with the second one, which there are plenty because I cannot stand Jinx Monsoon.
Right, we'll get into Jinx Monsoon in a minute. Let me read out this super chat, and then the PD wants to jump in with his negatives. He could do that, and then we'll move on to the Devil's Chord, which I definitely want to get onto. So Ed here with a £10 super chat says, that space station is bigger on the inside if it has enough methane to give it significant push. Real rockets use methane, but only when cooled down to sub-zero temperatures to make it 200 times denser. There you go. There's a bit of science there.
I'll just think of the negative for you. I've got one. Actually, I've got two, I think. When they realized, or when they revealed that it was a snot monster, that lost its impact for me because, she had quite a decent villain there. That was actually quite scary, I would have thought, for a young child. And I quite like that. I like the aspect of. I mean, they kind of did a little bit of a Sleep No More thing with the camera footage, like lost found footage and stuff. I thought that worked well. But again, as soon as you reveal, oh wow, clever writing, Russell, bogey man. I mean, I get it, but it's like I don't know. I would have preferred it if it was just a creature that was somehow spawned. But yeah,
because he could have been a creature that was spawned from the children's sphere, but not necessarily a bugger.
Yeah,
could have done something
a
else.
bit like, I mean, I'm not going to compare. Well, I am comparing it, but I'm not saying it's like this. I'm just using it as a reference. But it's similar to how, in the face of evil, how you've got this computer that is claiming it's the Doctor, but then when it realizes that the Doctor, the real Doctor, is actually there. It kind of shuts it. It kind of breaks down because its whole reality is then stopped, and it does everything in its power, and it does destroy the Doctor, even destroying itself if it has to. That kind of, I got an element. I got a whiff of that. Again, I'm not saying it perfected it to that degree, of course not, but I got a slight element of that, which they could have gone into, and that's the thing. I will say about the second episode. There's a lot of potential that like Matt said earlier, there's a lot there that they could have done. But that it wasn't. They just didn't. But yeah.
Anyway, let's PD. What's your negatives on this pile of crap?
Oh my god! What the hell did I watch? Seriously, I watched a crap episode of Sarah Jane Adventures. I mean, a crap one, not a good one, a crap one. I mean, seriously, did they not think of it? Like we're going on about the machine creating the babies. Why the hell did you not just shut it down sequentially? And just keep the babies alive. And Christ almighty, that fucking snot monster. Jesus fucking Christ. You could have made this an allegory of the Maze Runner, for God's sake. And say they put the snot monster on the space station to fill out the population. But no, you just had it. Oh, we can't turn the machine off because we're too freaking idiotic. I mean, Jesus Christ, Russell, what the hell were you writing? And you had 5 fucking months. 5 more months to do special effects. You can't even get mouths to move right. You're a fucking idiot, Russell T. Davis. You need to go. There you go.
PD, I love you and want to have your space babies.
Oh, God.
Nobody's having space babies on this channel, and now you're not allowed to say space babies for the rest of this
babies.
So, the second episode, after the calamity of the Force for some of us, we were kind of hoping that an episode about the Beatles that wasn't going to have Beatles music in it was actually going to be an interesting episode. From start to finish, I was horrified. Not horrified because it was good or scary in any way. All I just have to say is shame on BBC. Shame on Disney Plus, shame on RTD, and all people that think like this, that promoting mental health on television is the right thing to be doing. Jinx Monsoon's character Just to say for all you fans out there saying that Maestro is probably the best character that's been in Doctor Who for years, I can't actually even say it with a straight face. I'm about to get sick. No, this is probably the worst character. And what's even worse is that you're promoting an ideology that people don't, not everybody agrees with. And I just thought that performance by Jinx Monsoon, and I'll say it out straight, you know me, I don't hold back. I thought that person was unhinged. That person actually it made my skin crawl watching this whole entire episode. I won't even get into the fact that the Beatles, the people that they got to play the Beatles, absolutely resembled none of them. And on top of that, the actors did an okay job with the material that they were given. But the premise of this was absolutely fucking ridiculous, by the way.
See how buff John Lennon was.
And this whole thing, by the way, the one thing that actually really sent me over the edge is when the reveal happened. And we find out who Jinx Monsoon is actually related to. And I was like, are you off your fucking mind, RTD? But you know what the worst part of this episode for me wasn't all the shit that came after it, but the very beginning was the worst part for me.
Oh, yeah.
Now, other people say, oh, Jinx playing the piano when the theme tune, and then it comes in. It's the greatest transition in TV history. It made me want to fucking puke in a bucket. It made me want to puke in a bucket and then get a spoon and fucking lap it all up. It was that fucking bad, right? It was absolutely disrespectful, and I know why he did it. I said it that night as well. I know exactly why he did that, right? And see all those interviews since and before this episode, Jinx opening it. You see Jinx Monsoon, right? I thought you could never get anybody worse than Doom. What's her name? I forgot even her name. Suze Kempner. I didn't think you could get anybody as worse as Suze Kempner, but by fucking God, that Jinx Monsoon one is an absolute lunatic. Absolutely unhinged. And I'm being honest with you, the TV industry needs to stop exploiting these people. These people all need fucking help, right?
Oh, yeah,
not to be shoved on fucking a set or fucking a camera shoved in their fucking face. Absolutely disgraceful. And what kind of message are you sending to children? What was the whole, and this whole breaking the fourth wall in this episode? Oh my God, the whole everything just about it. I mean, it's, and then that didn't they do? I'm correcting because it's a blank now at this stage. But they did do a big dance number at the end, if I'm absolutely correct in saying they did do another dance number. Yeah, this is what our show has actually fucking been fucking brought down to, right? Dance scenes, talking fucking babies, and fucking people pretending to be fucking women, right? I'm sorry, I'm not playing you as our game anymore. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. This is Doctor Who. It's a sci-fi show. It's not a gender studies class. It's not a biology fucking class. It's not even a fucking documentary, right? If you want to promote all of that shit, I suggest you go somewhere else and promote that shit. It has no place and no business in Doctor Who and never has, right? The messaging, again, right? The messaging in both episodes, I don't care what anybody says, it was in your face. Right, he's clumsy as well. So the writing is clunky. Right, I've even noticed he's lifting his own stuff and he's not even doing it well. He's not even doing it well. This man does not care about Doctor Who. Right, he's only back, right, because he's angry with the Tories. Right, he's angry with the pushback against certain ideologies, and he's going to use Doctor Who as a tool, right, to push back on all of this. This is what it's all about for him.
Mate. Yeah. Who else is doing this? Who else in science fiction is doing it? Oh, yes, it's Alex Kurtzman. Oh, that'll come up later. Go ahead, Noel, sorry.
But seriously, I am sick and tired of this bullshit every so often now. You know what? We had it with Chibs, right? We had the end of the Moffat era, right? We even had it in your era, right? But I'm sick and tired of it. I want Doctor Who to go back to its core.
right? I wanted to go back to telling good
Back to
sci-fi
the
stories
basics.
and
Back to the
hysterical.
basics.
Exactly, strip it all the way down.
Amen.
We do not care about special effects or how good it looks. We want the best top sci-fi writers writing for Doctor Who. It deserves that. After 60 years of fucking of this show going, it deserves that, right? It doesn't deserve a hack like him, right? He says he's a fan. He says he's a fan. Right,
No,
in
he's not.
2005, I actually believed he was a fan. We all did. But you look at this version of RTD, he's on a personal vendetta. And when someone is on a personal vendetta and has the tools that he has, right, and he's been given Doctor Who now, right, and it's on a big streaming platform, Disney, he knows he has bigger reach now. The power's gotten to his head. This is an ego trip and this is revenge for him, right? And if you think for 1 second that you're going to get decent Doctor Who, I don't think, and I'm sorry, I hate to say this, I'm not picking on anybody out there, but fans should stop lowering their standards. This is not good enough. It's not good enough. It never will be good enough until we fucking stand together and say, finally, look, we've had enough of this bullshit. We've had enough of you disrespecting the show and its legacy. We want you to go back to basics. We're not asking you for anything fucking difficult. It's actually easy to fix this. It's easy to fix this. You bring in sci-fi writers. You bring in people that actually care or know about Doctor Who, right? But they're not necessarily. We don't need fanboys anymore. I'm sick of it, right? The boys' club needs to be smashed up, right? This little clique that they have needs to be broken up completely. All of those people should never work on Doctor Who again. Because if they continue, and they are for another 3 seasons, by the way, so this gets worse. So I think fans really have to ask yourselves, how low these standards have to go, right, before you actually finally say, do you know what, they're right, this is not good enough. I mean, come on, it deserves better than this. And look at the fucking shit it went through the Jodie Whittaker and Chibnall era. And it's going to go through a lot more, right? And it's going to be a lot worse. And there's nothing we could do about as fans. Yeah, we could switch off, but some of us are not going to switch off because some of us still fucking care, right? This is wrong. It's so wrong what he is doing. It's so wrong, and everybody knows it. Everybody fucking knows it, but some people are sitting on the fence as well. I've seen people on social media sit on the fence, and some people overpraising this as well, as Cinnamon said. Do you know what I mean? Get a sense of reality, folks. This doesn't improve. It's not going to improve. Maybe the Moffat episode next week will improve. As Cinnamon said, he saw a good review. I've seen one, obviously, as well, where they're saying it's a bit of a dud, but we'll find out next week. But remember, in a few days time, that's 3 episodes into an 8 episode
I don't know. It could
season.
be just a dud. It could be just a dud because it doesn't have pronouns in it.
Yeah.
You never know with these reviews, you know.
No, you're right. But go on, I'll shut up now. Look, all I just ever wanted was for this to be, to reach its potential. And I could safely say after these 2 episodes, I am convinced that this show is not going to reach its potential under RTD. It's a dead man walking if it's not already dead. For the first time ever, actually, I'm using the RIP Doctor Who hashtag. I hate using that hashtag. I've resisted using that hashtag, but I honestly believe that this is dead in the water. And the sad thing about it is it'll be dragged through the mud for another 3 years. And then he's planning all these spin-offs. I tell you, you live in cuckoo land, mate. You live in cuckoo land. Because I said this, right? In order for you to be successful and to launch your spin-offs, you needed a solid foundation. Well, your show has less than fucking 3 million viewers. You could screw your fucking solid foundation. I hope you're fucking happy. I hope you're happy, right? Because this is going to collapse under the weight of its name. And how dare you shame the legacy of this show? Seriously, I'm sick of the people disrespecting this. And all it needs to do is just go back to basics. We don't give a shit about the effect. We just want good stories. You give us good stories. Listen, I'll tell you something, RTD. This is a concept that Hollywood and the rest of you out there seem to have forgotten. If you actually write something good, right, people will watch your show regardless, right? But especially the fans. But you can win it over an audience if you write a decent fucking show, right? Proved it. Game of Thrones, right? Yeah, it didn't matter whether you were a sci-fi fan, a fucking romantic or whatever, right? No matter what your genre was, you were watching Game of Thrones, one of the biggest shows on the fucking planet. Same with Lost a few years before that, and Prison Break and shows like that. It proves if you actually write something decent, you will get an audience. You don't go chasing an audience like you've been doing, and you're going to fail. And I said this is the day you were fucking announced. I said it, you would fail if you went down this route. And that's exactly what you're going to do. And the ratings have proved that. And I don't care about the spin, right? You cannot spin these ratings all you want. We ain't playing now anymore about these ratings, right? 1 minute you're saying, oh, they matter. Then they don't matter. And then they matter again. Now they don't matter again. Then the weather, right? What else are you going to blame? You're going to blame a fucking nuclear bomb for the ratings not fucking doing well. The bottom line and the fact of the matter is the British audience and the worldwide audience are sick and tired of being preached to, right? And they're tuning out any show that does that. And Doctor Who's going to suffer because of that. And you know what? RTD deserves it. Not the show. Not the fucking show, no. But RTD deserves it. You're an absolute disgrace. You know what? I said I wouldn't get emotional. I'm a bit emotional now. Not over emotional. But I'm just fucking angry because you had a real fucking chance here. You had a real chance here, especially with Disney backing you. You had a real fucking chance here to deliver something fresh, something vibrant, something that we could all get behind. And instead, you've done what Chris Chibnall did to us. You spit in their faces. You don't deserve any fucking... Do you know what? You don't deserve anybody to watch your area, but some people will tune in. And of course, I will continue to tune in to bash it. But seriously, you don't actually even deserve the respect of the fandom. You can't even respect them, and you can't even respect the show. So why should we respect you? And for anybody out there, and anybody out there that feels that Jinx Monsoon or anybody part of this show is getting too much negative attention, well, I'll say this out straight: they fucking deserve every bit of it. Once it doesn't cross the line, constructive criticism is a great thing in this world, and they deserve it. And you know what? If Jinx Monsoon wants to come out with stupid articles and say for every Doctor Who fan goes, we'll get more. Well, the ratings proved that you're not going to get the fans. So, on behalf of all the fans, F fucking you.
Fuck around, find out.
Just to point out, you know, if it was the weather and everything, then it must have been really cold very quickly.
Damn it, Bob!
Before Eurovision started. Yeah, it's amazing how that happened.
That's a Disney fucking excuse.
Suddenly got freezing cold, and they all rushed inside to watch Eurovision instead.
Yeah, one more point to make, just on the Beatles. If I was Ringo and Paul, I'd be suing RTD. Because the portrayal of their characters was absolutely disgusting. Oh, now, I'm not a big fan of the Beatles, as you know, yourselves. I've made that very fucking clear. But that was absolutely awful, that was. And if I were the Beatles, I would.
You look like someone's auntie, you know. It's not
blue eyes as well.
And they're barely in it. They overhyped it so much in the promotion. They massively overhyped it in the claim that and they said in Doctor Who magazine, "Oh, it's not just a historical story. It's much more than that."
One of them lost their shit on Twitter or something because they
because he said he looked like fucking Howard from Big Bang Theory. I mean, get a grip. I mean, okay, some people said you look like somebody. I mean, stop crying about it. Grow up.
Well, they don't look like the Beatles, that's for sure.
John Lennon was ripped as, wasn't he? Did you see how tight that shirt was?
Didn't sound like the Beatles either. Why didn't they just hire all that Steve Jobs money? Why didn't they hire like one of the big sort of Beatles, you know, one of those bands that, you know, they do tours, you know, as a, what do they call them? Like what do you call it? When bands do.
What, tribute?
Yeah, I know, the tribute band. But they wouldn't have got a tribute band, because most of those tribute bands, they do look like band members, right? There's
Yeah, they
probably
probably would
something
have
with
got
the
the ABBA
copyright.
tribute band in or
Yeah.
something.
So yeah, they probably would have got some sort of. I think that's why they were deliberately not cast, or they weren't looking like the actual Beatles, because maybe, you know, why do an episode on the Beatles in the first
So they
place
call
anyway?
it the Beatles, yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't even need the Beatles in this episode, by the
No,
way. But
you
I'm going to
really
shut
didn't.
up. I'll let Queen Charlotte actually go because I've had me rant. I've got it out of my system. But please listen to all the Doctor Who fans out there that are still hoping that this turns around. I want to remind you just one last time that this is his 5th episode, right? Not his 2nd. This is his 5th episode. So his 5th story. So if you think that those 5 episodes are good enough and Doctor Who is vibrant, has a great future ahead, well then good luck to you, because it's not going to last long. This is sinking faster than the Titanic. Go ahead, Charlotte.
Yeah, so if I struggled with Space Babies, I had even more issues with Devil's Chord. One was I found so many scenes were just pointless. Like nothing was going on plot-wise. It wasn't advancing anything. It was just, oh, this is happening now. Okay, like what's happening? Like Ruby, like that scene when she's on the roof. And she just plays the piano. And I know the plot part of that is to get Jinx to appear. But did I have to hear a whole piano song when nothing else was happening to just so I can hear Murray's theme? Because that's her theme.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Beforehand. Like that was nothing. I just got bored. Like
For
that
her
was
friend's lesbian relationship.
yeah, but that was in there enough. But no, I got bored so many times in Devil's Chord. Like them just sort of doing nothing, the plot not going forward. And like you can have a bit of that in historicals when it's like, oh, we've gone back in time. Like I love Shakespeare Code. And there's a bit of that in the beginning when they're like, oh, let's go to the Globe, let's watch a bit of a play. But it's very much in the beginning, and then it gets to the meat of the story. Then it gets moving. Then you meet Shakespeare and you start to see his idea of Shakespeare, but actually, why did he work the way he did? How did he work the way he did? You had that fun dynamic with the Doctor and Shakespeare that they were trading quotes with each other. And the Doctor saying, no, you can't use that one. Like, that was a really fun thing in Shakespeare Code. You had the witches. There's so much, and you had the whole
Love that bit.
You just reminded me of something, though. The time that he was in was in 1963. So when you were up on the roof, right, he was over. So he came to the same time that William Hartnell's Doctor.
Yes, and they referenced that.
And they referenced that. Actually, the poster on the actual roof was I think it's the song that Susan is listening to in the classroom in An Unearthly Child. Yeah. So, yeah, I did like that. See, when he did something like that, that was different. You know, made that reference, but it was a nice way of doing it, and then kind of, you know, putting the poster up of the song playing direct. You know what I mean? And that was the song that Susan was listening to. That was nicely done. That was nicely done. Yeah. But that's about it. I mean, go on. I don't want to get into it now because I'm fucking done.
It's so much just wasted scenes. That's like what I'm getting at here. Like that whole opening with Jinx and the piano.
Yeah.
We just needed to get to the point of she got the powers. She got the mystical chord that nobody had found ever from the person.
Apart from half of YouTube.
So that, but we had to have a whole preamble of
he got the chord, by the way.
It
was a he. That was the weird thing. It was so schizophrenic, that whole this is what we are, we're them, and then they were calling him he.
Yeah.
Listen, I was like, make your freaking mind up. You know, I'm amazed you didn't just stop and correct Shooty, you know.
But like how much of that scene was just nothing. Let's just play the piano for a bit. And then let's just like have, and like that was the other thing. So then once again, this idea of the writing being quite simple for me at times now.
Well, it's for simple people.
So the premise was that Jinx could control all of music, so no music could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow that means the end of the world.
Have they
So-
heard the charts in 2024? It's already happened.
Yeah.
It's already driving people
Here's my,
violently.
so you can tell that was Russell's core thing here of music's brilliant, music's lovely, we need music. Okay. But then how can, if there's not having music, like that's your simple idea in the plot, Russell, how then has that become end of the world?
And
Because
why
we
are there
haven't got music.
why are there recording studios? Why are there musical instruments? This is because this happened in what 1929,
Yeah.
and you still got bands making just bad
Yes.
music and
It was just-
wanted to give up in the 1960s. So
Yeah.
in that whole time, people are still trying to make music, even though they can't. So why
Yeah.
would they have a big Abbey Road
Exactly.
studio built? None of it makes any sense.
No. And like I said, and we sort of touched upon this before. The Beatles, like once again, look, if I go back to Shakespeare Code, Shakespeare was an integral part of that story. He needed to be there because the witches, on purpose, used his genius, his writing, to get to basically be sort of the gateway for them to come into this world. That's why Shakespeare got picked. And also, it, like I said, it went into a bit of his backstory with, which I thought was lovely in that episode about him losing children, which not a lot of people know. Like, it's known, but actually his actual life stuff, his life story before the plays, isn't really talked about a lot, and that's really interesting. So it did that. It did a lot for Shakespeare as a character, but he had a real important plot element. The Beatles here were window dressing at the most.
They were just inserted in.
They didn't need to be in this story whatsoever.
Like the babies in the Forster. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things you didn't need the Beatles. You could have had fucking Queen there. You could have had, you know, you could have had even Britney fucking Spears. Like, it didn't matter who you had.
Because the only plot thing they did was at the end, and that could have been anybody who found that chord that they kept bang. That was the whole way to defeat Jinx. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How many times did we say
Well, conveniently that they
Chibnall's
just so happened to be there in the hallway.
Exactly. How many times in Chibnall's run did we say, God, that happened? That was a good coincidence, wasn't it? It was lucky that happened just at the right time. So you're telling me a piano just happened to be pushed into the corridor that John Lennon and Paul McCartney just happened to walk into just when
it had the notes above it.
Yeah,
There's a plot hole, guys. Plot hole on the screen as well, by the way. Because Hartnell, right, so if changes had happened, right? Oh, no, because maybe what would have probably happened is, you know, a bit like in Back to the Future where Marty's family was the parents. But maybe that's what it was when the music changed. He didn't realise that that just was reality for him because he was there and then. So, yeah. But it's a bit of a stretch, that. But it's still better than what RTD would think.
And that was how they defeated Jinx. Like I said, that was how they defeated the villain. That piano just happened to go in the corridor when Paul McCartney and John Lennon just happened to walk in the corridor. And
and start playing music.
And they found the missing chord. And that's what got Jinx at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the faces Jinx was pulling, by the way, when they were getting pulled.
Yeah, now I'm going to get into Jinx. Right. The first scene, I was like, okay, you are theatrical, I can get that, but you're not doing my head in. Progressively, the more Jinx was on screen, the more I wanted her to shut up and go away. It was just like it was like each scene, it was like the direction it felt like was, can you do a bit more extra? Can you pull a bit more faces? Can you scream a bit more louder? Can you be more shrill? Can you be more annoying? It just felt like that was the direction.
Yeah.
Like every scene, Jinx progressively got more like in your face for me.
Had it kept the tone down, I think Jinx's performance wouldn't be raved about. But I think it'd be, you know, people would say, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. But I mean over the top.
Piano, for me, it was just the right amount of like over the top. I was like, okay, if you keep to this level, I'm not going to love you, but It's okay. You're in the episode. I can just sort of almost forget you're almost in the episode. But no, it was like the fact, and like when she was literally on the piano screaming "Daddy," I was just like, "What an." This this is Russell's little like fantasy now. This is fully become Russell's little. Oh, I want this to happen show. And then the dance number.
No.
The episode had finished, like it had been done, and then we got Glee for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a good song.
No.
That was the thing. It would have been all like it would have been annoying, but it would have been like just if it was just like no, I mean word that better. In the Goblins in the Christmas special, no, I had an idea and I didn't word it right. For me, the song in Christmas in the Church of Ruby Road worked because it made sense in the plot, and I actually think that wasn't a half bad song for what it was. This was just really poppy rubbish. Like you hear this song in like in the top in like the bottom half of the top 20. Like it wasn't a good song. It wasn't.
It was
catchy.
very reminiscent of Agatha All Along with the from the WandaVision.
Yeah, that's what I
TV
mean.
series.
It wasn't like,
and that's why
clever.
I think Disney had a bit of an influence on
Yeah,
it.
that really felt like that sort of said that sort of really nothing pop, which doesn't like it's not clever, it's not catchy, it's just there, and that's what that song was. And then, like I said, it didn't make a plot. It wasn't.
And what was the twist at the end? The little kid? Was it the twist?
Yeah, I think that's what they were referring to.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything. I was
Or
just like, hang on.
maybe Ruby.
Didn't he go all Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end, at the beginning? You know.
Or maybe they're talking about Ruby's backstory because that seems to be the only heavy sort of main plot thing he's
the companion is the key, the girl who's the key to everything, and she's an impossible girl because, of course, she is. It's just that.
Yeah.
Girls are.
But like I said, so if I was to sort of like go just recap, the so much of the plot was nothing. It was just sort of ambling along. Didn't really push anything forward. It was just, oh, we're having this scene now. You had a Beatles episode where the Beatles hardly did a thing. They didn't need to be in there. You had a main villain that progressively just got on your nerves and you wanted them to shut up.
Yeah.
And then you had a dance and song number for no apparent reason, just because you probably wanted to, Russell.
Or Disney.
Yeah, probably a bit of both there. But yeah, and then also just to say as a double bill, I said this on Type 40 last night, to have two really fluffy, light fantasy, like really much you lean into the fantasy, that you can't do that 2 in a row. Also, if you count Christmas special, that's 3 in a row. There needed to be one of those of the double bill needed to be a different tone. It needed to be a different style, but they were just too similar, style-wise, tone-wise, writing-wise. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting what the viewing figures are off those 2 episodes. I'll just put it that way, and somebody else can say what they didn't like.
The viewing figures are already out for those 2 episodes.
I mean, the now episode 3, episode 4.
Consolidated.
Yeah, we don't know about consolidated as well. That's going to
be... Lee will tell you that you can't trust the consolidated figures because they're the last ones.
Got to go on overnight.
So you know, I wouldn't trust the consolidated anymore. Overnights are they're trying to belittle the overnights as well. I'm not going into a big rant, but I agree with everything you said there.
Million, thousand, trillion, gazillion views on the consolidated. You watch.
What did you? We'll go with you, Cinnamon, next, actually, because you said you did have actually issues with the Devil's Chord. And hey, you, Clubby, nice to see you, and thanks for becoming a member. We really do. Appreciate that. There he is. There.
Hey, Clubby.
I don't know if you've been watching Doctor Who, but I would stay away. Oh, you have. Oh man.
Poor dude.
Poor bloke. My condolences. we're all kind of mourning right now. But let's ask Cinnamon, because Cinnamon, this is the episode that you did actually have a lot of problems with. So if you want to highlight some of those issues and tell us why you have those issues, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Again, like Matt said, where to start with this one? Yeah, didn't enjoy this one as much as Space Babies. It just hit me now, even just thinking about it. I like the premise. I like the idea of it. I really like the idea of music being sapped from the world and everyone being cold and distant by that. I think they've done something a bit similar in the past. But I know. Yes, I only had problems with this. Well, I forget probably the other one, but sticking on this one. It just well, the big one is Jinx, isn't he? Or he eats creature, them, whatever. I don't really care. You're a vile person anyway. I don't want to make any attempt to even respect you because you clearly don't respect me. Because it's funny, isn't it? How you're in one episode, part of the show for 5 minutes. A show you probably maybe heard of, but probably hadn't even watched before. And yet you know everything about it. Apparently, sci-fi has always been the Q word, guys. It's always been the Q word. Sci-fi has always been that way. I mean, goodness me. I mean, how delusional. She says the word delusional. I can't stop laughing. I mean, dear me, got to be one of the worst people, the least professional person I've ever seen on this show. No, I do not want her back at all. You can get rid of her. God, even just thinking about it, it's like at least, you know, with Shooty, I'm able to enjoy his performance and enjoy him as the Doctor. Even though I think a lot of what is in his head is cotton wool and he's coming up with some absolute nonsense. But with her, you just can't. I just see everything that she represents, everything she spews, every vile, toxic nonsense that comes out of the mouth. I can't distance it. I just can't. And as much as I tried to, and I really did try for the hour, and I can't even believe I try so hard. As much as she speaks to us and treats us like shit. I even right at the end after watching, I even tried to argue with myself that okay, maybe she didn't annoy me as much as I thought. No, she did. I can't believe I even said that, but I retract that statement. She's the most annoying, insufferable, over the top performance I've ever seen, and that's coming from me who's watched the Horns of Naimon or whatever that story was, with the bloke who was massively over the top. Jinx Monsoon sucks all the energy, oxygen, and attention out of every scene that she's in. Which is saying something because Shooty is a big personality. And making Shooty feel small in his own episode, that's some feat. And again, I can't understand for the life of me how people are confusing over the top and in your face and wow, isn't she so crazy as a good thing? She's got to be the most overhyped villain I've ever seen. And we know why she's been hyped. We know why she's been praised because of what she represents. And of course, I mean, when you get these vile, again, just downright racist articles from certain people in the media, the Metro in particular, coming up with their strawman arguments about Doctor Who was for the white people, and coming out with strawman arguments again, like saying, apparently, according to her, we're all sat there saying that Doctor Who is only for white people. Now, I've seen genuine racists. I saw one the other day. I reported it. He made some sort of comment about Shooty and a monkey, and I reported that. So there are a few genuine. I mean, I like to tarnish as always one brush, and there's a certain particular YouTuber out there. I won't soil this channel by mentioning his name, but he's a very mentioned conservatives. I will say
though that it's
what
a lot of these people who come out of nowhere, these accounts that no one knows, coming out with all this racist stuff. They are quite potentially people who are trying to frame this side of the fandom as being evil bigots and racists.
Yeah.
We don't know who these people are. I've seen plenty of examples of people, the wokies, pretending to be bigots so that they can then blame everyone else. Right? They do it themselves. But bearing in mind, they have absolutely no scruples at all to do whatever it takes to win. And that includes saying some of the most disgusting stuff to frame us. And that's happened. I've seen that happen many times. This happens. So when it's like the old racist, the convenient racist on Twitter, then, you know, we all get tarred with that brush. Very convenient how that's timed. But I would also say two racisms doesn't make a right. And Ncuti Gatwa is a racist. Simple as that. He is a fucking racist. And I am done with this. I saw a really nice interview with him, actually, just the other day. And he came across as like, he was saying that he wanted to play the Doctor more traditionally. And it was Russell T Davis who said, no, just be yourself. You know, I want you to. And it just showed
the costume.
And it showed a complete lack of faith in him, actually, to actually deliver the role as he wanted to do it, to more traditionally.
Isn't it funny that he said that he was the last one in the audition room and he blew him away, but yet he doesn't trust him enough to actually carry this role by himself?
No, he wants him to be as much of a stereotype as possible. That shows to me the liberal-minded racism, right? The typical white liberal male racism, the bigotry of low expectations. You will do the thing to make me look good for the Metro or the BBC to go, oh, look, he's making the Doctor really, really, really uber, super duper black and gay. And it's like, oh, you know, rather than him playing it more traditionally or to try and win fans over by... No, they want you to be a stereotype. They are using you, Ncuti. They are using you to get the pats on the back to say, look how progressive we are. I'm sorry, that's not progressive at all.
No, it's regressive.
Very regressive.
Lee, by the way, there's another show. I can't remember what it's called, but it had a homosexual Doctor of Colour in it. Oh, yes, it's Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
you're obsessed with Discovery. I thought you gave up on...
It's not me, though. It's not me. It's somebody else who's got a massive obsession. Oh, who is it who's got a massive obsession? Oh, yes, it's Russell T Davis.
God love him, what? God love him. He still hasn't recovered from Star Trek Discovery.
Anyway, I'll let Cinnamon finish because I have a massive rant building up. So just...
Yeah, and then I want to get Matt in as well. I want to get Matt in on this episode as well. So Cinnamon, then Matt, and then whoever else wants to pop in before Lee.
He needs to speak as well.
So I think I just spoke, mate. Just let the cat out of the bag. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, go on.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. He's sat there brewing, isn't he? He's brewing.
I'm brewing.
Yeah. What was I on about? I was talking about the Metro.
Jinx.
But yeah, you know, just pure straw man arguments. Again, like I say, and Lee's right. I don't doubt for a single second that there are people out there who are claiming to be, you know, sort of like people inside agents, so to speak. And I don't want to get too political, but you know, we've seen rumors and stuff about, you know, January, you know what, about whatever FIB agents or, you know, rubber bullets or whatever. Yeah, you know, enough of that. But you know, you get my point where I'm going with it. You know, there's a lot of that. So again, I can believe that. I can totally can. But it's like, again, even though I have seen genuine racists, and it's like this notion that, like, she honestly came out and said that we actually sat there wanting Doctor to just be for straight white men. I mean, is it just that category? Are we including like non-disabled? Because I wouldn't be able to watch it then. I mean,
they actually said they actually didn't know. She said, "I have to correct you because the headline, you're saying the headline wrong." She said that Doctor Who was never made for straight white males. Straight white males. So basically, anybody that isn't straight, that's male, this show isn't for you. But then change the headline after the backlash, and then. What was it? I threw it up on the channel anyway, but she slightly changed the headline. But you're still a racist, love. We get it. You're still a racist. You're a racist. You hate You hate straight white males. You
They
want
are
everybody.
gaslighting
You want everybody
They're
in the world to
gaslighting
be gay. Everybody in the world to be gay, and it's not going to happen. At the end of the day, we'll be who we
Ain't gonna
are.
happen my
Right?
way, I can
We're
tell you
not going to
that.
be forced to be something that we're not, and that's what's happening with this society. And this is what these shows do as a tool. They're trying to tell people, don't be who you are. You know, you're not worth that and being yourself, but you could be someone else. Right? No, it's the wrong message. Right? You're okay the way you are. Right? All you need is proper guidance and direction, and to be told that you're worth something. Right? Not told that you're a useless prick and that you do this and you'll be happy. No, and you know what? The one thing, just one more thing on Shooty. Right? There's so much potential there. There's so much potential there, and it's going to be pissed into the wind because RTD, as Lee brought up, this is all tokenism. The poor lad doesn't even realise he's being used, or he's agreeing to be used, right? Which is even, I can't understand. Stand up for yourself. If you wanted to play the Doctor traditionally, you should have fought harder for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'll just say to that Metro article very quickly that, excuse me, in the 1960s, right, the country was very much more predominantly white than it is today.
Yeah.
And Doctor Who was not necessarily just made for males, but it was primarily a boys' own adventure. Okay, more boys were into Doctor Who than girls. Just a matter of fact. So whether or not they were straight or not is immaterial. But, you know, to pull your racist card like that, I am so done with these people attacking white people, straight people, all the rest of it. I am done with this shit because you're not winning any fans or friends. You're not helping people of color. You're not helping gay people or trans people. You're actually making it worse. The more aggressive you are, the more you try and hammer this into people's faces, the more they're going to resent you. And you are building a rod for your own back. And I'm not going to be there to go, well, you know, come say, come ça, I'll take the beatings for your attempts to rile people up. I'm not going back to the 1980s, thank you, Russell. This is not progressive what you're doing. You're regressing us. You're going to send us right back to the 1970s with hatred for people like me.
Yeah.
You and your ilk. Just bear that in mind. Don't use Doctor Who and use the media to browbeat people and excuse their racism and excuse their anti-majority stance. You do not win points. You do not make friends. You do not win allies by asserting this aggressive approach, by demonizing a whole slew of people, the vast majority of people, I may add. You're going to be in for a very rude awakening. And I am not going to be very happy sitting here, cowering in a corner because of you assholes making my life even more difficult.
Yeah, no, well said, Lee. Well fucking said. It needs to be said. This is what I said. We need to be calling out RTD here, right? It's not even about Shooty, Millie, or anything else. But CDs now, hold on. I predicted this as well, right? So Jinx Monsoon's a special guest star, right? The rest of them now will all start opening their mouths as well, right? So prepare for more backlash from these.
Gaslighting, Noel. It's gaslighting.
Yeah.
They cannot accept any accountability or responsibility for what their own actions have done. They are the ones trying to turn it around to make us the toxic ones, whilst they are acting as colonizers who are squatting right in the middle of this show and taking a massive dump on it, serving it at you and calling you a bigot if you don't like the taste of shit. Yeah. It's not okay. And we will call it out. And there's nothing wrong with calling it. It's not bigoted. It's not homophobic. It's not transphobic. It's not whatever phobic or racist or whatever. This is complete gaslighting. They are trying to throw shit at people because they cannot accept any accountability for the shit choices they have made. It's on them. And remember that. It's on them. They are the ones throwing the shit. It's them who are crying because their hands smell of poo.
Yeah, Lee, by the way, you remember when Russell T. Davies turned around and said, "Oh, we're kicking the tea out." Remember that?
What's that?
Remember when he turned around and said on the red carpet, "Oh, you can't get rid of the tea," or that award he received, "Oh, you can't get rid of the tea." Has he thought that the LGB were leaving not trying to
Cut
kick
the
the tea
teas to
out.
kill.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Oh, that was
And may I just add as well, Jinx Monsoon in this episode made I mean the line was written by Russell. So Russell, what the fuck? But it said a line, something about music for disgruntled lesbians or something like that. And I just thought that was so unnecessary
Yes.
and offensive,
Yes.
quite honestly.
No wonder
You want to
lesbian
talk about
lines exist.
homophobia? The biggest amount of homophobia I've seen in the last few years has come from the TQ plus. And frankly, when you've got Jinx Monsoon, who's a character that really should have been played by a woman and shouldn't be called Maestro, it should be Maestra because it's the feminine. Just saying. So Maestro is the masculine, right? So that's a big mistake. It should have been played by a woman. So you denied a woman the role, which is ironic because
you described yourself as binary.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, it's a man. So the point is, you changed the doctor, not you, but Chibnall changed the doctor to a woman and took away a male role. And you said, boo, yeah, boo sucks to you. If you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. Now here you are, celebrating the fact you've stolen a role from a woman to give to a man because he says he's non-binary and wears a skirt. I'm sorry, no, that is not okay, right? That's just misogyny and drag. And that's what it is. And then when you turn around and use that character to have a stab at lesbians, you can F off, frankly. I'm done with your double standards and you're speaking out your mouth. Speaking out the corner of your mouth. It's fork-tongued crap. And it drives me up the wall that you use these characters who are supposed to be so inclusive and representative.
Yeah.
But if that's what that represents, I don't want any part of it because it's offensive, it's disgusting. And I'm sorry, when that Jinx character sucked on that stick, whatever, that was grotesque. And I'm sorry, isn't it interesting as well, Russell, that you have a problem with Davros of old for being a wheelchair user who is evil? So it's okay if it's a trans person being evil? Is that what kids are supposed to think now? Trans people are evil?
Oh, I got
messaging. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, stop messaging.
Oh no.
No, go on.
No, I don't want to add something to that, Lee. That was another show where they had to show a person in a wheelchair in a positive light during the end of series 3. I wonder what that show was called. Oh yes, it's Star Trek Discovery. We started to see a pattern here.
Well, also there was
I know.
There was season 2 of another show that used an evil man in the wheelchair. What was that one called? Oh yeah, it was called Doctor Who.
Oh
Mr.
yeah,
Lumic.
that one.
Like
Yeah.
The abject hypocrisy is off the charts with these people. And yeah, I agreed with Noel 100% early on. The Fitzroy fucks need to get the fuck out of here.
Oh, they need to remove
You're
them.
done. You're cooked.
And we could have had Joseph
off.
Michael Straczynski.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's we've got RTD now for the next 3 years and Disney.
I think it lasts 3 years. Let's be clear.
Well, they've already filmed the other season and he's writing apparently. The next year could be right, but we'll see.
Disney are only contracted for 2 seasons so far, and dependent on how that goes, if they do a third or not. So
Please not.
I'm not.
Yeah, anybody else want to add on? Because I've actually ran out of things to say because I've had me rant. I think Lee has got most of the shit out of his system.
I haven't even
started he still has plenty to go. But as I said, I'm not doing 3-hour streams. We'll be finishing up soon. Not yet, but we will be finishing up soon, guys. Cinnamon is at the gown, but there he is there. So anybody else want to add? I mean, I suppose we should get in. I didn't ask because I thought everybody would just want to pile in on this. But was there anything you liked about this episode?
Yeah,
anybody?
there is. Again, I think there is. Again, just the tone of it. I mean, of the story. Again, like I said before, I think I did. There was actually a decent idea there that actually could have been explored that I wanted to see explored. And I think from the question of how does the world get destroyed, I think. If I'm remembering it right, the idea, I think, again, maybe it wasn't a very good one, but the idea that I got was they were basically saying that because of humanity's so gone so long without music, and we were just so heartbroken. There's not enough love in the world. That everyone just,
Yeah, it was
everyone just goes
almost-
mental and destroys each other with nukes, I'm guessing, and
Yeah, so
big wars and
basically,
stuff.
according to Russell, we would just war with each other. We just descend into utter chaos and war if we couldn't
Well,
have
we
a bit,
didn't have music.
if we didn't have a bit of top
But then
40.
Essentially, yeah.
to the top 40 songs about fuck your bitch, yo, fuck, and all that. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, calm down, you fucking
But it's
two-pack.
so true. But it's so true, and it's like,
Fuck's sake.
We'd have no
Poor
Kanye.
Matt. You're choking poor Matt there. Look, you're nearly at the killing him.
Yeah, if we don't have that new NWA
I need
album,
the
the whole
music.
world's going to collapse.
Nicely
Well,
said,
I
Nico.
mean, come on, I think what he's actually saying here is if Taylor Swift decided not to do another album with some breakup
Would be all
songs,
The world would end.
We've
The
been
world
enlightened,
would
man.
be celebrating unison. We'd be
Yeah.
celebrating
oh,
Taylor
become
Swift stop
spirit
fucking
beings
singing.
and free.
But that's basically it. And
Music's dead.
it's treated as a commodity music, isn't it? Throughout, I think that's kind of. Although I did get that because I thought, well, if Jinx is so music is mine,
It started in
isn't
the
it so
1990s.
sad? I mean, God, you could tell it's a blow just by that.
Yeah,
throat
being a
strain,
villain,
but
being a villain just means shouting at the
yeah,
right
and that's what I
moment.
mean. Like again, like I said before, like I think people
Feel
are
like
confusing like amazing
Like-
and and great with like over the top. I think she was massively over the top.
Well,
Too
what I
over
want to
the
know
top.
is, was the villain supposed to be scary or was it supposed to be funny?
Which is
Because
just
when it was coming out of the, were they trying to make it like with
Vomit-inducing.
Blink with the statues? Were they hoping that the pianos would be scary because they'd think that Jinx Monsoon would come out of them
You
like
can't.
ring
That would
style,
terrify me, quite honestly. I think Jinx,
in the same
Jinx
room
Monsoon-
with him would
Jinx-
be.
Jinx Monsoon as a drag act is fine. It's good as a drag act, but not for Doctor Who. I'm sorry, no.
Yeah,
As a
It was the
it doesn't
first
belong in Doctor
first
Who at
TV
all.
appearance
No.
as
Like
well.
the Xena
First,
episode.
first appearance on screen on TV.
There's a certain
And last.
sense of believability, and this is not believable in the slightest.
There's an etiquette in acting, okay? That you have a big character or a villain, whatever, but you have the lead actor. You're not supposed to overshadow the main actor. By going that over the top throughout the entire
Exactly.
episode, it diminished the Doctor. And then at the end, the Doctor had no agency anyway because he lost. He lost, even though
Yeah.
he was playing what was supposed to be the Devil's chord. It wasn't even a chord. It was note, 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 note. That's an arpeggio. So it's not even a chord. And when the Beatles played that chord on the piano outside, conveniently, did
Yeah.
anyone notice what that chord was? It was the chord at the end of Day in the Life from the Sgt. Pepper album. It was the same chord. So I don't know if that was on, but I assume it was. But
Yeah.
Do you know what? Even the idea that I had, instead of having like, I mean, I get the whole music at the end because I suppose it was like a big relief that all music's back in the world. So I guess that's kind of why it was in. That's my impression. But instead of having that big musical number, maybe they could have had a scene. And this is what I said. And I think it would have, instead of having just John Lennon and Paul McCartney just conveniently, because they disappear. Like everybody disappears from that episode, and then they just magically turn up at the end.
in that whole,
And I thought, why not have
And
a
I'm thinking
scene?
about
Why-
poor old George Harrison, who didn't.
Yeah, but I just thought, why not
Yes.
have a scene of them, like
Say
maybe
a
like
word.
after when they were talking with the Doctor and Ruby, maybe John Lennon sits there and says, "Do you know what? Maybe there's like a breakthrough because they're going with an angle of it, like saying, oh, he just wants a quiet life, and then but like he wakes up at night crying or whatever. So maybe like something like resonates with him. He has a breakthrough, and he says, "Do you know what, Paul? Let's go and get in the studio." Maybe like I don't know, somehow the Doctor breaks through to them, and they have like a little scene reminiscing, and then that explains why they're there.
well,
At least something that gives a bit more clue to why they're even there in the first place.
The reason why they had the musical stuff in there is the same as the last time they had it in there. It's because it's being used as a vehicle to push Ncuti Gatwa's new career in music, or this girl, whatever, Millie Gibson. So it's purely there as a vehicle. It's Disney-fied to fuck, but that last 2 minutes should have been used to deal with the resolution, because you've got nothing really going on other than a set of scenes and a creepy guy wandering around stealing music or making people awful at music, which is just, as we've discussed before, makes no sense anyway. And then really you've just got all of that going on, and he doesn't know, he can't defeat this by himself. He's been here before, he's been ripped in half, whatever, by the toy maker. So, and he's the last of the Time Lords, but he's not the last of the Time Lords, because just down the fucking road is the first Doctor in the fucking yard. So he's not the last of the Time Lords, because he's over there. He's over there. Why don't you go and get the first Doctor and help you out? It just makes no sense. It's so stupid.
Really should kill him.
Well, and
Yeah, but that'd be interfering with his own time stream, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but he's done it before. 5 Doctors, 3 Doctors, the 2 Doctors, the Day of the Doctor, etc.
Yeah, but those are accidental. That he'd be going out his way.
Well, it's an accident that the TARDIS, you know, ended up at that point in 1963, where Jinx Monsoon happened to be flailing about, being all dramatic, overly dramatic.
But it's funny, just on the acting bit, actually, you touched a bit on it there. On the Sense Sphere, we've actually got Rachel, who's an actor herself, and she even said, like, it's, well, I think she, loosely what she's, I think pretty much what she was saying, that it is a bit, she was a bit reluctant because, you know, social etiquette from one actor to another, she didn't want to be too heavy. But I was of the opinion that, you know, well, you're not judging her as a human being, you're judging her performance. And I thought, well, and she made the point of, again, that it was a bit off, and, you know, you know, it was too over the top. I mean, again, she overshadowed Shooty, for goodness sake, and that takes some doing.
It was hammy. It was hammy. It was, look at me. It was stealing the scenes in a very selfish way. And I don't know whose direction it was to do the fourth wall breaking, but that was just done one too many times.
Yeah, they did it about 3 or 4 times in the episode.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Tom Baker do it a couple
playing
of
the note.
Yeah.
Even playing the
but
note. At the
in
beginning
Classic Who, we had William Hartnell in The Feast of Stephen offer a glass to the camera, and then we had one with Tom where he said, "Oh, I don't even think the sonic screwdriver will get me out of this one." But that was like, there was a couple of instances, maybe 3 or 4 times, I think, in total.
See,
but it was always like you can always imagine that's him just talking to himself. Really.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem
3 or
with
4 instances.
I don't
in
have a problem with
Who.
the Doctor doing it. I have a problem with other people doing it, like a lady
possibly.
next door and all that sort of stuff.
It's too
I
self-referential.
mean, we saw it as well in the Beethoven thing. It wasn't before the flood where Capaldi talks to the camera again. But like, there was 3 or 4 instances of breaking the fourth wall in the entirety of the 26 years of Classic Who. It's happened 3 or 4 times in this episode alone.
One episode, and then playing the theme tune. Now, if you're going to start playing the Doctor Who theme tune in the universe, whatever, that's very meta. Fine. I don't necessarily have a problem. I think it's cringe. I always think it's cringe when they bring the Doctor Who theme tune into anything during the, but especially within the universe, I find that really jarring. But at least if you're going to do that, at least they should have worked in the piano properly, not just fade it out.
So by that logic, what's the Doctor Who theme tune in their universe then? Some sort of army march?
Well, I mean, the last time we had that kind of self-referential thing was in the Remembrance of the Daleks, when you had, you know, the BBC announcer announcing a brand new science fiction show.
It just cut it off just in time. But I like that, and that's why it works well. But it didn't here, did it?
No, not at all.
Like I said, if we go back to that scene when Shooty's scared, from the problem I had with that scene, but it's the one, like, in the first episode, it was, to be fair, Space Babies, they did say the monster was almost a superpower. It could do that to him. I got that in the logic of the plot.
Perfect decibel or something,
it made sense in the plot. So that one I went, okay. But then this one, he didn't just run a little bit. He literally ran and said to Ruby, I can't face it. And he hadn't even seen Jinx at this point. He just heard the giggle. He heard that. I can't do it off now, so I forgot the exact way, but he heard what the toy maker did. And that's what scared him half to death.
Yeah, so because playing catch is so life-threatening.
But then this is my point, Lee, right? So he does that whole scene about being scared to death. I thought, like, this sort of level of threat, I can't do that before. And then he talks about what bi-regeneration felt like. And I just, throughout all of that scene, I was just like, Russell, you needed to put some of this in the giggle. You needed to have even a line of Shooty. It could have been when he was in the TARDIS by himself. But like Lee said, what was he doing in the giggle? He was laughing, he was joking, he was being like Mr. Positive compared to Tennant. He was when he was talking to Tennant about damage, but that wasn't precisely about bi-regeneration. It was just a sort of general talk about what the Doctor's been through in their lives at this point. So it wasn't about bi-regeneration, so that doesn't count to me.
But did he even look like he was being torn in half?
Yes, and that's the problem here.
And smiling, and this is so fun. What?
Here's the problem. Russell is just making stuff appear in the script when it's convenient for him.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted Shooty to run away, probably to make Jinx feel like more of a threat. That's what I honestly think Russell did it for.
Again,
the whole pantheon of gods thing, and they're trying to make these big gods seem more terrifying than they actually are, kind of thing.
Let's really put Jinx.
I don't think it's so much as the playing catch thing. I think it is the more. He's trying to build it up like, there's two powerful
That's
gods.
what I mean. I think that's what Russell was doing. He was doing a cheap way to try and make Jinx look more threatening. This is my point. There wasn't setup. And there's more and more this keeps happening in the script now, that Russell needs something to happen, or he wants a certain scene to be in there. He won't set it up. He won't preamble it. He won't put things in there. He will just make it appear.
But do you know why these things are left hanging? Why these things are not set? Because again, this goes back to what we were saying about the last episode. No internal logic or reason for things. Now, when you're introducing magic, actual godlike magic into this universe, you haven't established what the rules are. You haven't established what the limits of this person's power is, what the power is. Is it magic or is it something else? Is it science that we don't know yet? What is it?
Yeah.
You don't have any rules. You don't have any boundaries for this thing. Nothing's defined. So this person can just do whatever they want. It's a bit like the bloody sonic screwdriver now. It can do it. Catch-all can do anything.
Well, they're Q out of Star Trek, aren't they?
Yeah.
They can literally.
It's not defined because you've not spent any time defining what these deities or these whatever they are, the pantheon are. You've not really given any definition. So therefore, you've got no threat because it's just like, well, this person can just do that and it will just, destroy everything in a heartbeat. So what's the hold up here? This all powerful and omnipotent being. It's not defined, and without that defining it, you've got no rules within that universe of how magic works, because this is now a Disneyfication within Doctor Who, and it's incongruous to Doctor Who. Doctor Who is supposed to be about science or magic. Anything that seems to be magic is science that we just don't understand yet. That has to be
even stuff like that, even the wasps, wasn't it, in the Unicorn the Wasp? Like, even though it appeared to be a magical wasp, but it was a wasp from a different planet. Because then they say, there's wasps are aliens and all that, and Donna was surprised. There's always a scientific basis there, in essence, somewhere.
Yeah. And that's what really sort of frustrates me with this. So I just have a fear, and I know, it's been brought up in the Sense Sphere and Nerdaholic brought it up here, and it does make me go, oh, please God, no. That this is building up to Sutekh from the Pyramids of Mars, and I'm absolutely aghast at that.
Petrified.
Yeah.
Well, there is the Fourth Doctor. There's a character, didn't they? He said in the magazine there was going to be a character from the Fourth Doctor era.
Yeah.
And whoever that may be.
Well, let's look at Sutekh, because Sutekh was, he was talking about reducing things to dust. Dust seems to be quite a prominent word that appears quite often. We've seen the future of London, like we saw before with Pyramids of Mars. The one who waited. Now, Sutekh, when he was defeated, was sent through time portal through to the end of the universe, far into the future, where he'd be sort of imprisoned. So that, and he's a god. He's a siren god.
That'll be really bad if that actually happens. If Sutekh really comes back, and if let's say he does, and then it's Russell being clever, so subtle, there's literally word for word recreating the scene from the Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
Like, if that's supposed to be some big tease, like, it's so predictable. Because then, like, if he does come up, like I said, Brendan's been saying it on his channel. Lee's just said it there. It's been an idea that's floating around. Like, it'd be so boring then because it won't have the impact. Because they're like, well, everyone's already guessed it.
Yeah.
And Lee, you're forgetting another hint.
What?
When the note that Ruby made scared Jinx. Jinx went, "Oh, he was there." So maybe maybe it was Sutek when Ruby was born around.
God help us all.
Please.
Played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. I just don't want it to be. I really don't. But
Yeah.
just going back to this ridiculous character. Look, you know, the way it was introduced. You know, them, they, them. Stop. This is nonsense, right? We've just had the cast report. This confusing young viewers with this kind of stuff, and then set in the 1920s. Like, seriously, just stop. This is nonsense. Okay, we just had the bloody Eurovision winner, bloody they them as well. Like,
that scene was awkward.
No one thinks you're invisible. No one thinks you're invisible because you just won't go away.
Yeah,
and you're there, like lurid highlighter pen, like just in our eyes constantly. Right, we see you, we hear you, we can't do anything else. But I'm so sick of it. I don't care. Right, it doesn't exist. Right, your state of being one or the other or both or whatever. That's fine. You do you, but don't promote this as an actual thing, okay? And then getting a villain to use it as well, it's hardly promoting a positive aspect. I don't know.
I thought they took the piss out of it because when you watch that scene, she goes them, and then he's like confused, and there's a bit of a back and forth. I watched that and I thought, well, like, okay, you're doing it, Russell, but like, I felt like he was taking the piss out of himself, like, and again with the whole disgruntled lesbians, it's like, okay, so you're making it to get them, but then like, I don't know, it felt like watching that, it felt like he was taking the piss out of it. So it failed on that, even on that.
It's so confused. The whole thing's so muddled up. He's in such a rush to bash out all the right messages that I think he's kind of torn between trying to write a coherent plot, which isn't coherent.
His T's, is he?
No, and then he's got all this confused messaging, which it just seems so tacked on, or it's not thought out. And you've had plenty of time to do this. I mean, it's so shallow anyway. I mean, we're not even taking this seriously. But I mean, we can see there's a build up to, you know, either Sutek or something similar, or Susan returning or whatever. God help us all. Good luck, everybody.
This is Twisted Susan, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, geez, no. But look, this is just a vehicle, okay? Vehicle for Jinx Monsoon's career. A vehicle, you know, to get into Disney, to probably do more kids shows. How lovely. And again, doing the song and dance number and the bloody Abbey Road crossing lighting up. Stop doing this bollocks.
And don't forget the Tardis doing the final note at the end.
Oh, that was so cringe. Oh, God, help me. No, it's just stop it now. You're making it a joke. Okay?
Right.
You thought it was a joke enough under Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall, but this is just driving it through to the Earth's core at this point.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is it's the obsession with the new fans, because of course she came out and said, every time we lose, we'll gain 3 fans back. And she said, "Oh, it won't be." She said, "Oh, we'll gain 3 drag fans, or there'll be people watching it because of drag." Well, they're not watching for Doctor Who, then, are they? They're watching it because of drag fans in it.
There's not enough of them.
Okay, so you've driven fans like Gary from Nerdrotic away. How many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars do you think he spent on merchandise? And how many thousands and thousands of dollars do you think these 3 that will replace him are going to spend? I'll tell you.
Exactly. I made this point earlier. I literally pointed to my Blu-ray collection. I spent over $1,000 on that. The steel books. I mean, I'm looking at my shelf right now. Well over more money than I can even comprehend. More money than sense, really. Yeah. I mean, and these people coming in because I'm going to watch this new show because Jinx is in it, and I'm really into drag. And I mean, but they're not. And again, they're not watching it for Doctor Who. They're watching it because somebody they like is in it. And again, are they going to be splashing out on merchandise? Are they going to be splashing out on
I tell you,
the action figures?
Moffat's next episode, the one that's coming up, I predict they're going to get a drop in ratings because I think a lot of people just take one look at that Jinx Monsoon and that sucking on that stick like it was a penis. It was a bit over the top, quite honestly. That was
imagine the casual viewer who's maybe not watched it for a couple of years and they see that, okay, Russell's back. We've just had David Tennant. Okay, we've got a new Doctor. They might think, oh, maybe I'll start watching it again. And then they see that. Like for the casual viewer.
Their grandparents with their little kids, with their grandkids going, this is not really appropriate.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. And this is not a positive image for the likes of the LGB or the T or the Q even. It's not a positive look. It just makes you look degenerate and it doesn't work. It doesn't help anybody. It's not
detrimental.
Okay, you want to be seen. You're so desperate about being seen because fuck knows we haven't seen enough of it. But you want to be seen, and that's what you want to be seen as degenerate filth. That's the message that you think is positive. I really do question your mentality, Russell. Retire now before your legacy is destroyed permanently, which it already is.
Oh, that's too late. Yeah. That's done too. That's too late.
For some, that's already that's gone a long time ago. For some,
yeah, Fitzroy, fuck off.
Right, let's get into the ratings for each episode, and obviously we've said everything that we need to say. So I just need you our ratings. So your ratings for Space Babies, first of all, everybody on the panel. So, Queen Charlotte, what would you give this pile of crap out of 10?
I'll give it. I don't know.
10 out of 10. Yes, Slay Queen.
Oh.
I'll give it a 4 because I need to go lower from a Devil's Chord. So I'll give Space Babies a 4.
Okay, PD.
For Space Babies, I will give it nil point.
Okay, Cinnamon.
Totally real number. 7.
Fair enough. Matt.
2.
Problem being, it's been ages since I had you on. I forgot your fucking name. Sorry.
You go away for
a bit.
Who the fuck are you? I can't give it because I mean the story could have ended by just getting the babies onto the TARDIS and then taking them down there, not rather leaving them to burn up in a space station full of fart gas that's going to burn up and explode and killing them all. Zero. That's nonsense. It's utter nonsense, and it's stupid and nonsense.
Yeah, that would have been edgy.
Well, the night of the episode aired, I said the Space Babies was probably one of the worst episodes that I've seen in years, and I wasn't exaggerating, and I still maintain that. So I'm gonna give it a negative. I'm gonna give it a -10. I don't even think.
I love that because you'll say it's one of the worst, and then you listen to me or Dan, and we'll say it's one of the best in years.
Yeah, I mean, it's one.
Polar opposites these days.
I'd rather watch The Timeless Children on a
I said that.
No, please.
Orphan 55. Give me Orphan 50.
Orphan 55, yeah.
See, I hadn't seen any of those, so maybe it would have been less than that.
No, Matt, no, don't listen to them. They're on the Kool-Aid. They've lost it.
Anyway,
7 out of 10.
Maybe I should go back and watch those Timeless Children.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one, which is obviously the Devil's Chord. So we'll start with you for Cinnamon. So what do you give the Devil's Chord out of 10?
Well, 15, obviously. Isn't Jinx amazing? No. No, sorry. Are we doing like 4.5? Is that? Or are we just doing like normal numbers?
Oh, up to you.
You can do whatever.
Noel gave it a -10 for the last.
I'm not bothered because I'm giving the Devil's Chord a -10 anyway, so you can give it whatever rating you want.
Yeah, a 5. There are generally some gits. Well, there's a lot of gits. There are generally some bits that are actually okay, some elements, but I'm sorry, but Jinx just really brings it down for me. 2 over the top. So yeah, 5.
Right, Matt.
I think it was slightly better than the Space Babies, but not by much. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Problem being.
The only saving graces I thought for Devil's Chord was when they first went in and found like the music, the Beatles, and Cilla Black had sounded and looked nothing like Cilla Black, by the way.
Yeah.
Sounded like
was
her, though.
singing those awful lyrics and their faces. I thought that was quite comical.
I don't know who Cilla Black is.
And the scene where everything went quiet, even though it didn't make any fucking sense, was very dramatic. It looked great. That was the only thing I thought that actually made me feel like I was watching anything remotely close to Doctor Who. So for that, I'll give it a half.
Okay, PD.
For the Devil's Chord, I will give it nil point.
Okay.
Consistent. I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a person. Neil Poir.
You're a
Queen Charlotte.
2.
Fantastic. Right, we'll go around again. I want you to promote you her shit, and then I'm going for me walk. Because I get a bit of exercise now at night time, because I'm going to be traveling around the country and stuff, so I need to get my fitness up. So, we'll start with you first, Queen Charlotte. Let everybody know where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing.
Yep. So on Type 40, we did on Tuesday, me and Matt, your catchers, doing sort of a raw sort of reaction there with Dan and a few other people. And then tomorrow we are back with sort of talking about the big interview Moffat's done, sort of to look towards Saturday and see what that episode might bring. So we're back tomorrow. And keep an eye out on the reviews, because I'm doing quite a few of the reviews with Dan on the Type 40 podcast for these upcoming episodes. And you catch me here on Wednesdays.
Charlotte, can you pass on the message to Dan? Because I've been struggling with watching it live because he's so quiet and Simon's
I'll have a
volume
chat
is
with him.
so loud. It's
Yeah.
They need to turn
Not
Simon
not
down.
from what we've been understanding lately. Apparently, he was the volumes were complaining about our volumes being so loud.
Yeah,
and
Simon
the like.
is louder than anyone else, and Dan is so
Well,
much quieter.
You got to remember too, though, we don't have like a lot of us don't have like this setup,
Just turn, but all you need to do there's a volume thing that you can turn the mic down on the stream.
I'll have a chat with Dan, because
Yeah.
I've heard a few people say out of anybody he's the quieter out of the lot of us. So if he
And
conveys up.
I really miss being able to watch, but I can't because it's just I can't get the balance right. It's
I'll have a chat with Dan.
Yeah,
Good
New sound mode on here.
I think he was in the chat earlier, so
there you go.
Right, Matt, you tell everybody what you've got coming up and
well,
what you want to plug.
I'm a regular on Type 40 like Charlotte now, so I'm on there pretty much every second week or third week. So that's on Thursday night. And I also do have a channel. I am coming back. I'm going to be doing physical media because I'm a huge fan of Blu-rays and stuff. So that's my channel, Matt Pot. You can go over and subscribe over there, and I'll be over there pretty soon with a new video. So yeah, thank you for having me, by the way.
No problem. You're more than welcome. And of course, we got our favorite fucking panelist, the queen of them all.
But you said me there.
No. That's probably. Listen, when Queen Charlotte is not here, we have another queen, don't we? Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's me. I'm a beautiful space baby. That's me.
Know your place.
Anyway, Queen. The problem being, what have you got for us?
Well, you can catch me occasionally on the Mr. Brown Alliance. Not so much lately. I've just been too busy with stuff, but I just really kind of want to use this time just to say, if you can't imagine Tom Baker, William Hartnell, Colin Baker, Peter Davison, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, or any of the others doing what is currently being done on the screen, it's not Doctor Who. If you can't imagine them doing what you're seeing now, that's not the character of the Doctor.
Yeah.
If you can't see them saying the same things, it's just not the same thing. It's Disney's Oolander. It's not Doctor Who.
I agree. Cinnamon.
Oh, finally.
Oh, no, I mean, this must take a couple of seconds. Come on, you're dragging it out.
Oh, well, if you want to,
What, for God's sake?
If you want to listen to more of my delusion about how much I love Space Babies, maybe me and Dan can form a coalition and become Space Babies ourselves. But if you want that, then you can find that at Cinnamon Toast Crunch. PD just put it in the chat there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, again for more delusions, then you can under the same name.
Fantastic. Who am I missing? PD. Well, PD,
Okay.
is on the list of all the channels anyway, but you want to plug out and got to do it yourself.
Chris, can you shove Dan's channel back in if my link's broken? That'll help me out. Thanks a lot for that. But yes, you can find me normally hovering in the chat and Rabbi Another Planet's channel. So you can join me there. If I can find
And can I just say Israel came 5th in Eurovision?
Yeah, because we all vote for Israel.
I voted so many times, but it never went through. Like, it just kept hanging up the call. And one time it kept saying calling, but it didn't actually get through. So something dodgy going on there. So for all your whining bitches, Israel wouldn't have won if it wasn't for the bar arsing and the stupid judges.
Oh, forgot to say, we're on Rabbi's alternate channel at the moment, which is a Rabbi from Another Planet's Holiday.
Fantastic.
Instead.
Throw that in there as well. Yeah, throw that in there because I know Rabbi will be putting out some great content. But we will be back on Saturday, folks, because I do it all again for you. So I suffer for you. I will be watching Steve Moffat's Boom. I just am hoping that it is good. But I'm not going to get into it because I do really have to go. But hopefully it's good. But I'm not holding out any hope. As I said, I think this is the end. And, it's sad, but we're going to get on with it anyway. And we're going to expose it. And we're going to call out these racist journalists, and anybody that's racist on the show coming in is going to be called out this time. And to the other side, listen, don't even waste your time with us, right? We'll be busy actually doing what we're supposed to do, which is highlighting the crap that's coming out of Disney and BBC and Bad Wolf Studios, right? So you'll be wasting your time using the same tags and the same boarding tactics that you used during the Whittaker era. It's not going to work. Get a new playbook. And until you get a new playbook, I suggest you stay away. Anyway, with that said, I'll say thank you.
To us fans, I'll just say, if you don't like this, vote with your feet, vote with your wallet. It does work.
It does, exactly.
It does. Trust me, it works.
And I just want to thank, of course, my guests, Matt Pott, all the way from Australia. I mean, I can't believe you've done it, but fair play to you, mate. I'd be smooth.
No worries. No worries at all. Always got time for you now.
No problem. Well, listen, we do this every Wednesday. If you want to come back next Wednesday, you're more than welcome. If you want to come back as a permanent panelist for these streams, for these Doctor Who's, you're more than welcome. I'll send you the link next week, and if you show up, you show up. Yeah?
Yeah, we'll ship some Red Bull over, mate.
Don't worry, because I probably won't be here.
I've never had a Red Bull.
Yeah, you're done now.
Maybe cooking chicken or something.
This was probably Lee's. He did this before, though. This will probably be Lee's last stream. Because once he doesn't like it, that's it. There's no point for him.
I want to talk Doctor Who. This isn't it.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank Lee. I want to thank PD. I want to thank Queen Charlotte. And, of course, our new addition to the panel as well.
Me.
Host Crunch. And everybody in the chat been absolutely fantastic. The 223 people that are watching all over the 3 platforms that I have this streaming on. Thank you very much. It really means a lot. But don't forget to subscribe if you haven't to my channel, so you can get more of these wonderful panels. And as you can see, there's a mixed bunch on here, so we try to cover as much as we can. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until the next one, have a good evening, and for now, you can all feck off and all of that other stuff. And I'm going now for me walk. Bye.
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 Space babies.
Bye.